Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of SNTR Gaming, and we are talking about the update coming to New World in the public test realm, why this is not really the best timing for this, amongst other things, with the reviews and the community continuing to go down. So we usually go into this scene here, and we start the stream with this. So this is about a 3-hour long stream, and if you're looking for sort of the opening segment because of the thumbnail and the title, this is probably what you're looking for. This is an SNTR update. New World has pushed out a PTR update for December that is sort of landing in a very, very awkward position, with the game's reviews continuing to drop and Steam seeing a total review now of mixed, as well as the player base and population continuing to drop. If you like these SNTR updates, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my uploads, or check out SNTR Gaming, where I stream this live. So first and foremost, like, what exactly is going on in this update? It's going to be happening in the PTR first, the public testing realm, and then it's going to move over into the live game. And they're going to start with new limited time content, okay? The Winter Convergence Festival. So the New World Winter Convergence Festival is not in the game right now. It is in the PTR, and once it's gone through its testing and feedback or whatever, they will roll it out into the main game. Now, the Winter Convergence activities breaks down into the Convergence Spirit, Lost Present Recovery, and Gleamite Collecting. There's also sort of a new roaming boss that can be farmed for loot. Sort of looks like, you know, an abominable snowman or something. So this is what they're putting in the PTR, and then subsequently planning on putting into the actual game. And similar to the Into the Void update, I think this is sort of poorly timed, okay? This is not really the greatest time frame for them to push this, even though they probably don't have a choice, since it was clearly slated for the winter and the holidays, and to bring that sort of vibe in the game. I don't think there's anything wrong with limited time events. I certainly don't think there's anything wrong with sort of test running them in the PTR, but right now we need very, very clear communication. We're going to do a separate stream and topic covering their announced endgame discussion and things they want to bring to the endgame, but overall the game just needs a bit more than that. They're going to need to have sort of that comeback from the brink moment, whether or not it's through content or through quality of life updates. Now, I have continued to say, I think the single most important thing they need to come out with is a very, very clear content plan. If people know what is coming, when it's coming, and how much is coming, it can give people sort of a sense of hope, as well as investment. If they know there are things around the corner, or sort of big substantive things planned, that can really help. I think the dilemma right now for Amazon Games is they can't outline their content plan because they don't really know when and how things are going to be able to be delivered, given all the quality of life that they've had to sort of tend to in a putting out the fires sort of way. They've had to be very reactionary. They've been sort of back on their heels, as it were, and that's not what you want to see. You want to see them to be able to come out strong and say, here's our ongoing content plan. If people would have known this was coming in the winter, if there's something planned for January or February, you should really start to tell people that. I don't think these surprises are working to build consumer confidence. They seem like, I'm actually not saying that's what's going on, but it seems like you're just sort of trying to distract the community from what's really happening. And I want to end by saying, listen, I see the potential here. Having these limited time events, it's always fun, it's festive, it's nice to have the game world sort of change and to have something happening around the holidays. I think that works for these types of games. It also gives a lot of credence to a lot of my commentary about this game being built more for mid-lane, more casual players, and not necessarily being built for the more traditional and the more hardcore players. Overall, I just think the communication isn't bad, because they are addressing things and trying to fix things, and the end game post that we'll address in another video actually looks pretty good. But without an ongoing content plan, the confidence and the loyalty will continue to wane. As always, if you like these SNTR updates, hit subscribe and the bell button, and I'll see you in the next one. And I'll see the rest of you right now. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for being here bright and early on a Monday morning. I've got the office looking a little bit more festive. This is the little tree my family got me last year, and they were like, you got to put it up. You have to put it up in your office. And I was like, okay, let me see if I can get this up in a way that you guys can see it. And then we had these Spider-Man felt stockings that we're not using, and I was like, let me see if I can they just sort of stick to the the sound stuff back there. So hey, it worked. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the holidays or the time or whatever it is you do to celebrate. We put the lights up on the house on Saturday. I did it all in one swing, and it took me like 3 hours, and my back and my legs were so sore. And then we put up the tree yesterday, so the kids were obviously thrilled. So do your morning ritual, hit the like button, say good morning, all the things. Obviously, we got to cover New World when there's stuff going on. I do sense a lack of interest in the community, in you guys, in the channel, but I can't not cover these things. We will be covering Halo and the situation with Reddit in the second show today. I felt that was really, really worthy of a show. So, it's far from bad. So many are bad. This is just needing fixes in areas. Good morning, Lono. Been playing MMO since the 90s. This MMO is not of good quality. Been calling it since the alpha. Well, and I mean, to be quite honest, MRI guy, I think you were one of the people that maybe you weren't intending to be condescending, but you left a pretty condescending comment on one of my videos, like, Lono's finally coming around and admitting all the problems in this game. That is a complete misrepresentation of my coverage of this game. I actually got a lot of guff and a lot of grief during the early weeks of New World, being like, mainly highlighting the problems. Like, most of my coverage when the game launched was, here's the game, let's comb over it. And I was immediately drawing attention to a lot of the problems. I had a guy literally call me out. He's like, I feel like every time you boot up and talk about New World, you have problem in the title. That might not have been you, MRI guy. I feel like it was. I have said since the beginning, and this is another thing that people have misrepresented my New World coverage about, I have said since the beginning that these problems need to be addressed, but the reason that they are not indicative of the game dying or having a short life cycle, right, has been because I don't think the bulk of the player base is encountering them. Now, the real issue that is starting to compound is that server exodus is going to make it hard for anybody to enjoy the game. So it doesn't matter if they have a core audience that's more casual or more mid-lane. If the servers continue to dwindle, that doesn't matter. You aren't going to have a player base, right? The game still has over 100,000 active players daily. While it has issues and we all know them, it's still decent fun if you play casually. But again, the New World population concerns are, I don't think we can understate them. I don't think we should understate them. I think they're valid. If people continue to leave, your casuals won't be able to play casually, if that makes sense. It was me, it wasn't meant to be condescending, was just pointing out how a lot of people are finally realizing what I and many others were saying in the alpha. Right, and maybe not condescending, I don't feel it's accurate, MRI guy, because from the very beginning, I was honest about the game's problems. I was honest about the game's lack of polish and seeming lack of readiness. Like, the New World, public test realm is great, okay? So they can do this New World Winter Convergence, that's fine. I don't have any issue with that. The optics on it right now, I think, is a frustration point for the community, because they're like, what about all these other problems? And to a certain extent, I feel like they're not going to be able to address some of the more fundamental endgame problems quickly. But I think the endgame blog post that I took a peek at, that we'll probably cover tomorrow, I'm like, okay, I think they've at least got an idea and a course, but without a content plan, I think you're losing people. I think people are just like, I don't even have confidence in the game anymore. Like, my loyalty to the game is going to rise and fall on whether or not I feel like there's stuff coming. MJ Talks with 4 months, welcome back. Good morning, Feed. Good to see you in the chat. I think the large issue right now is, like you said, the server exodus. I had to leave my server because once Asmon left, it literally died, so now I'm on Eden. Yeah, I mean, it would, and we, I think, are on a very lucky server. So I've never ever attempted to argue from my position in the game, because my position in the game is incredibly biased. I've had people help me. I've been able to level fairly easily once I had people helping me, especially. I wouldn't say easily. It wasn't hard, but it also wasn't fast, right? Basically, I said in the first open beta that the game needed another year in the oven. At least that has basically come true now that it's launched. I think it's gamers at the moment. Forza Horizon 5 is dying due to bugs and hackers. Oh, really? I have not seen any press about Forza having troubles. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing the New World Public Test Realm update and the sort of the New World, I guess you would call it, winter event that they were doing. I think what they've got is the pieces and the parts of a game that will work. Ultimately, I think it will. Because when you're going to do this sort of like a winter event here, as soon as I saw it, the first thing I thought of was they're taking a page out of the Destiny book. They're taking a page right out of that book. The casual players love that kind of a thing. It sets a cool tone and vibe. You know, it gives you a reason to kind of boot up and get some loot, you know, and it gives them the ability to add content without really having to do that much. You know, it's not like they're adding, you know, a couple of dungeons or a storyline or a new area on the map. You just kind of like inject the game with some fun stuff, and then, you know, you're off to the races. New World gameplay, being as satisfying as it is, you know, you throw some snow on the ground and give the game a cool wintry feel, and I'm going to vibe with that, right? I'm going to be like, oh, this is pretty good, but that's not really enough right now. I don't think that's enough for people to suddenly change their opinion about the game in its current state. I think all the major games being played right now are getting some pretty bad word of mouth and press currently. Well, and I mean, and we're gonna touch on this later with the Halo situation. I do think this is the risk, okay? In gaming right now, I think there's a risk for anybody trying to launch anything, and this is the risk. Number one, you as the developer, this is multifaceted. There's multiple layers to this, okay? So at one level, the developers are in a situation where they feel like we have to launch. We have taken way too long. 2020 is still taking a pound of flesh out of these developers, okay? The 2020 dilemma, okay, that hurt the development cycles of these companies, it's still taking its pound of flesh. So I think at one level that the developers are launching games sort of knowing this is kind of what we have to do. We don't really have a choice, whether it's Battlefield or Halo Infinite or, in this case, New World. I think they all knew we're going to have to launch. We're going to have to launch. It's going to be, right, it's going to be rough. That's one, okay, that's one layer of the struggle. The next layer of the struggle is gamers are obviously starving for new games. That's a really, really bad recipe, okay? So this New World Winter Convergence event, that's not going to satiate anybody who feels like they're either running out of things to do or bored with the game or whatever. So when you take a scenario, you take a cocktail and you shake it up and mix it, and you got developers feeling like we don't have a choice, we must launch this, we know it's in a rough state, we know it's not going to be exactly our best work, and then you also have a starving, ravenous gaming community that feels like, when are games just going to launch? That's a recipe for where we are right now. So my diagnosis of the current situation with games launching and being terrible and people being very, very aggravated, that's essentially what it is. It would be like going to a restaurant, waiting a really long time because they're busy, and you're absolutely starving and you're famished, and then the food comes out and it's awful. Well, you would unleash your fury on that waitstaff, unjustly, I might add. It's not their fault, but like you would be doubly furious. Like, we waited this entire time. I'm literally starving. My stomach is empty, and your food is bad. That's what's happening right now. A ravenous, starved player base is coming out of a drought, and they're being offered things that just ultimately, in the initial stages, it's like, oh yes, but then as the dust settles, you realize this water is tepid and stagnant. It was refreshing at the very front of it, but now it's not. I'm trying to think of the last big studio publisher game that came out to good reviews and mostly without huge problems. Generally, it's single-player games. Like, that's generally the games that fare the best are the single-player games. Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, God of War, Sekiro. Like, the single-player games generally come out to more universal praise. I think they're, Jedi Fallen Order. They don't have the... This is another element of the equation is... When you try to launch a game that is multiplayer at its core, there are like 18 different unique challenges that come with that, right? Number one, you have to limit the vibrancy and the coolness of your game because it's going to run online. And then you got to worry about people playing, instability in your servers. Then you got to worry about maintaining a player base. And then New World has its own subset of problems because they had to stinking, create servers super quick on the fly because the New World population was in the initial stages was completely unpredicted by them. They were like, we didn't know this was going to happen. So then we had a week of queues and problems. Well, now we're having the exact opposite problem. We're having Exodus, which needs mergers, which if you don't do mergers in the right way, you'll make the problem worse. Or if you wait too long, the lack of mergers will compound the exodus and more people will leave. Amazon kicked the New World engine to the curb before New World released, which is odd, and the game economy hasn't worked for me since launch. I don't want to spin my gears in New World. Right. Shocker, the games that have to rely on sales for success come out finished. Right. Well, and see, that is, I think... aside from Cyberpunk, sure. I don't know if it's as simple as that, Eugene, but it's certainly, and I wonder if it's both and, right? It's both that the live service games rely on ongoing engagement, which means they can sort of do the, well, we'll iterate our way out of the forest because that's going to be applying player feedback. That's going to be improving the game over time. And a single-player game can't do that. A single-player game, has to launch and be complete from the very beginning or it won't make any money. It'll get terrible reviews. It'll get shredded. I mean, that's what happened to Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's commercial success was immediately self-sabotaged by the lack of quality and all the problems it had on, especially old console. If Cyberpunk would have launched PC only and next gen only, I don't think it would have been criticized, it would have been memed, it would have gotten the rough treatment, but not nearly to the degree that it did. The issue with New World is New World was trying to straddle the two sort of communities on the internet. They were trying to straddle and pull in hardcore players. They were also trying to straddle and pull in more mid-lane, more casual players. You can see that in the stuff that they're doing. The way that they marketed Into the Void, the way that they showed you pictures of the Gauntlet, the way that they're marketing this New World December PTR Announcement or whatever they called it, the Winter Convergence. You take one look at that and you're like, this is literally crafted for casuals. This is not something that was designed for a hardcore player in mind. Now, you have to think about something. In their grand scheme of deliverable and timing, they launched this game on September the 28th, which is essentially October, okay? Let's just call it an October release, because it basically is. So this game launches October, and they know that 2 months later, they've got this holiday event planned. And somewhere along the lines, I'm assuming they thought about the Into the Void update or just a New World update in general. Like, we're going to be adding things to the New World gameplay content loop. Like, we're going to be adding things to that, and we're going to be speccing it out. So when I think about their scope and their plan for the year after they launch the game, it just continues to add credence to the fact that this game is not built for the hardcore traditional MMO fan. It just simply isn't. I don't see it. I don't see that being their goal. And hardcore MMO players were playing it generally because there wasn't anything else going on, and why not go try that game? It's not that big of an entrance point. There's no subscription fee, $40. Then a lot of people would probably look back and say, you know, it left a bad taste in my mouth, but I got my money's worth, right? The devs have far more control over variables, so stop grinding your axe. Who are you talking to? A game where you only have to balance against AI is a lot easier than multiplayer games. I'm not sure who you're responding to. New World is a perfect storm of inexperienced, incompetent devs, bad engine, mediocre combat, bad in-game economy, broken PvP faction system, bugs, glitches galore, and coming out unfinished. Well, I think your bias is showing. I think you're overstating your case, which makes it hard to take a lot of what you say seriously. Like, when someone just is going to stack up a bunch of overstated negatives, I have a really hard time engaging with you. Like, that's not dialogue. You're just buckshotting negativity, right? Mediocre combat is a giant misrepresentation of how the community has responded to the combat. So that's not true. That's not true. The mediocre combat is your opinion. Generally speaking, people were very pleased with the combat. Now, combat fluidity is an issue, and weapon swapping is an issue that they're looking at, and that was something I drew attention to when I played the game for the very first time. But from the very beginning, people were never taking issue with the combat. It was right in line with what most people would expect from an MMO that was trying to feel like an action-adventure game, right? And bad engine, I don't know where you're coming at with that. I mean, again, that could be pure opinion. I don't know if there's any substance to the claim that the engine is bad, right? Now, broken PvP faction system. The faction system isn't broken. It's got issues with it that need to be tweaked with respect to you not being able to join a war or getting excluded. What do you do if an entire server, like, shifts to one side? But I don't think that the faction system is broken. PvP, again, I don't necessarily know if it's broken. It feels to me like there's broken weapons, but the actual PvP being broken, I don't know. I've not played enough of it. Bad in-game economy. Again, I don't think that's a fair representation of the economy. I think the economy is fine. I think exploiters and people that have been cheating have harmed the economy. I don't think the economy in and of itself is bad. A living and breathing organic economy can't be bad. It can only be as bad as the players' behavior. New World is a bit of a crap storm, yes. Yes, it was as popular as it was. Shows the game has serious potential. The combat's very buggy and can and has been taken advantage of, from invincibility glitches, already patched, to improper animation cancellation, being addressed, to straight up locking up. I've played it for hundreds of hours. I've never had the combat lock up. I think a lot of the times when I've engaged people that are on sort of a negative wavelength about New World, I feel like you state things as if they're definitive, and I don't think that that's helpful. Broken PvP. I don't know if the PvP is broken. Broken faction system. I don't know if the faction system could be described as broken. Is it in need of tweaks and refinement? Sure, but I think anybody that came to this game and thought out of the box they're not going to have to address anything with the economy, anything with the factions, anything with the wars, did you honestly think they weren't going to have to mess around with any of that? That stuff was just going to come out of the box just fine? Like, before the game came out, I said my two biggest and most primary concerns were the PvP elements and how that would influence the map, and the second thing was people not letting you play and partake in a war or an invasion. Those are the two things I was the most concerned about. I'm sorry, no, there were three. I mentioned the trade house as well pretty consistently. I was like, a player-driven economy and a player-driven trade house. I feel like games have tried to do this before, and it hasn't gone very well, you know? I'm frustrated with the game and AGS because we've been telling them these issues since the alpha, and they basically ignored all the feedback and launched it as is anyway. I don't necessarily think what you're claiming is true either, though. If they've ignored all of the feedback, how do they already have patches that were ready to go addressing some of these issues within the first couple weeks of the game launching? More than likely, that was related to the feedback they received from the alphas and the betas. Geritol Gamer coming in with a brand new membership. Thank you so much, Serg. Always good to see you, Geritol. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. We appreciate the membership support here on the channel. Like, so you tell them there's all these problems, and then you're assuming they've ignored you. I don't see evidence that they're ignoring people. I'm not telling you the game is fixed. I'm telling you, how could they have had those patches ready that quickly if your conclusion is true? If they ignored all the feedback and launched the game anyway. Number one, that's false at a provable level. It's provably false because they didn't just launch it anyway. They delayed the game for a month. They delayed the game for an entire month, and then once it was out, I think it was the second or the third week, they were already rolling out patches addressing some of the people's concerns about things. And then obviously they started having to put out fires. They started having to put out fires with, somebody found this glitch or this exploit, or somebody did this dupe. Like, every New World exploit had to be addressed almost immediately, because the New World gameplay wasn't going to last. It was going to break down really quickly if people continued to either boar farm, dupe gold, wreck the auction house, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I'm not sitting here being a New World apologist. We've dialed back our coverage. I've not played it as much lately. I definitely am like, the game's got potential, but boy, they got to shape up. I've basically put them to the taken them to task and been like, you need to outline your content plan. You need to outline, like, what am I going to be doing in January, February, March? Like, take that transparent approach, even if it's sort of generic and vague. I need to know that you've got things that are coming. This surprise announcement crap that they keep pulling. Number one, as a content creator, it's incredibly frustrating to be like, yeah, we got our whole week scoped out. We got Friday scheduled, and then Thursday night, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, tomorrow there's a PTR. We're going to test a winter event. What the frick? What? I'm not saying they owe me as a content creator, but it's like, even the people that would like to cover your game, that's not helpful to the people that are attempting to put your content out there in view of the public in at least a somewhat positive light. We had to sleep on this over the weekend. I wasn't going to detonate Friday for this. No. Stop that. Like, their idea of like, well, we're just going to randomly throw out announcements at random times of the day. Take a page out of Bungie's book. Like, have a timely announcement window every week so people can set their expectations. Outline a very generic, if some sort of a content plan. Like, this idea of like posting on the forums and responding and having like lengthy, thoughtful responses, that's great. But if you're gonna launch content or make big announcements, you can't just do that randomly. It doesn't work. I don't think it gets people's attention in the way that they think it does. And I also don't think any of this builds consumer confidence, because if I know stuff is coming, then I can plan and look forward to it, right? You do this with your kids. Now, you might not do this with your kids because they're going to drive you crazy. So literally day of, you're like, we're going to Disney World, right? If you tell them 2 weeks in advance, they're going to be like, how many days? How many days? How many days? How many days? And then you're going to lose your mind. But in general, setting those expectations, I think, is normal and good to say, here's what's coming and here's when it is coming. Even if it's generic, or even if it's very, very like tentative, like, we are hoping to have this ready for here, and this ready for here, and this ready for here. Even if it gets delayed, at least people know things are coming. They called Sean Murray and asked him how to do press. Yeah, No Man's Sky pulls the same nonsense. It's why I stopped covering their game and playing it. I was like, I'm not doing this thing where like Sean Murray tweets out an emoji and then I'm like, well, I guess we better get ready for No Man's Sky announcements. And then 2.5 days later, they push out some insane update in the game. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, bro. Like, I'm not some news desk where I can be like, coming across the wire here, breaking news. Like, let people know what's coming. It's not that difficult. Hire Reggie, the guy used to be the front man for hyping up Nintendo's announcements. I think everybody liked Reggie, but in sort of an adorable way. I don't know if Reggie was that good at that sort of an environment. He did the recordings and he was kind of lovable, but I don't think he was good for that. I think people liked him because he took the memes in stride. He was just sort of a goofball. Oh, you're kidding. I was gonna say I don't think you would want that. I appreciate you saying that, Belmont. I feel like they wake up and decide, let's do a surprise announcement. Well, it's disorienting, right? So, like, here's a New World gameplay update. And you're like, wait, what? Like, it's disorienting. Like, when they did the Into the Void thing, I was like, where the frick did this come from? I was like, what? Out of nowhere. And then they announced this winter thing for the PTR, and I could probably get over that, but the pattern is that I can't trust what's going on. Like, I don't know when and how you're going to be doing anything to the New World gameplay. And sadly, this is what I think is going on. I think that Into the Void and the Winter update and any other New World updates that they had planned, the reason they're coming out kind of ad hoc, kind of off the cuff, the reason that's happening is because they've been having to put out so many fires. I think somebody somewhere is like, okay, push that update now. You know, now's the time or whatever. We got to get that out there. And the devs are probably like, well, okay, but why? Like, why did you even bother with Into the Void? I find that they post something every Wednesday. Well, but that's not true because the December PTR announcement, Christina, was like late Thursday. I had finished dinner and like checked Twitter and I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. You're pushing this thing out Friday? Obviously, we have our own unique challenge there because we like to do from Friday, right? But if I would have known that was coming, I could have set the expectation, let everybody know, hey, from Friday, you're going to get Sekiro gameplay, but we're going to have to take our Elden Ring topic and kick it to the next week, right? I was like, let's kick that to the next week, and we'll cover this New World thing. I was like, no, frick you. No, I'm sick of this. Your game is in a shambles. Reviews are plummeting. Server mergers are in dire need. There's such a huge need for server mergers. And you're gonna pull this late Thursday like midnight hour crap? No, we'll talk about you Monday. You sit in a corner. No, I'm not doing that. I was genuinely irritated with them on Thursday. It's like, this is not what we need right now. I understand they don't have a choice. It's a winter event. They're not gonna be like, well, we'll do it in February. Doing it in December, I get it. I do. I get it. But I don't like the disorientation and the blindside nature to these New World, updates and announcements. They don't even seem to plan them. It seems like they're typed up and ready to go, and they're like, you guys ready? And they just push it out. They didn't tease us. You didn't give hints. You didn't say anything. And then after Thanksgiving, they went dead quiet on Twitter for like 6 days. It was like, what are y'all doing? I don't know. I'm sure this winter event thing was already written and planned before they had all the issues. Well, that's exactly what's going on, right? Like, they had this planned and booked and ready to go. That blog was probably typed up and ready for the PTR. They're thinking, yeah, we'll put this in the test realm first. That way, if there's any issues, we can maybe kind of find them. I wish I liked Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, I wish I could cover and play that game. I don't see an inroad for me in that game. I just don't. They could do Christmas in July. Yeah, kick the whole thing to July. I don't know if that would be a good idea. I don't know, like, I'm going to continue, okay? I'm going to continue to say the same thing. Their priority right now is to give us a content plan, some semblance of a roadmap. You got to hit January with that, or there won't be, like, the community's gonna be like, who cares? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna push out another holiday event? You're gonna push out another, another seasonal thing? That's not gonna affect the New World population. Is not in a great spot right now. And I think the only way you stop it, or at least have people rhythmically kind of coming back and keeping their toe in the water, you gotta have a roadmap. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's going on. I just know that every once in a while you randomly kick out some big giant blog post, and I'm like, holy moly, what am I supposed to do with that? That doesn't give me, there's nothing. It doesn't feel like a relationship. It doesn't feel like we're having a dance. It feels like you're just randomly throwing stuff at me. Is what it feels like. That's kind of my take on it. Is like I don't feel like you guys have thought through some of this. Ain't about that life. Don't worry. Yeah. And it's always after a round of big bugs, which looks bad. Yeah, it starts to look like you're just using New World announcements to just distract the community, and it's like, it's not working. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I understand with the winter thing. It's like, okay, fine, but the fact that they did the same thing with Into the Void, I'm like, what? Why didn't you save this? This isn't going to do anything right now. Into the Void didn't do anything. Now, maybe Into the Void had to come because they needed the game to be at that state when the Winter Convergence happens. Like, the New World Winter event needed the game to be in that state because, like, the pirate guys show up, the Varangians or whatever they're called, they've shown up. The map has changed. The saturation of enemies has changed. The new enemies have changed. So it's like maybe they had to launch, Into the Void at the time they did. It wasn't just here's a new weapon, right? There was more to it than that. It changed pieces of the world, and it's possible they had to do that. Yo, it's good, Noah. Guys, make sure and smash the like button. Say good morning in the chat. Let's see here. I don't even know what kind of a New World poll we should do. New World content roadmap. Would it help? Yes or no? Some people think roadmaps aren't helpful, so I'm interested in what you guys think. New World content roadmap. Would it help? I'm going to put a poll at the top of the chat. Come on now, they went quiet for a holiday. Other than that, they talk every Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Stop trying to paint that picture. I'm not attempting to paint a picture. They went quiet for 6 days. That's not a holiday. I'm not attempting to paint a picture. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's too early in the morning to poke that bear. I am not attempting to paint a picture. They went quiet for 6 days on Twitter in the wake of server mergers are like the #1 request right now. Like the player base just continues to drop, and they come up for air after 6 days of silence, and they're like, "We've got structure being built for mergers." Oh, who were you talking to? I don't see anybody saying that. I'm the one that said that. If you join their server, they post almost all the stuff there first. Good morning, Lono. Got my coffee order this past Saturday. Excellent customer service. Now I got to get a coffee maker. Never had coffee before, but happy to support you and your family. Have a pleasant week. Oh, thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that. They need to also add content and stop making the content we already have more grindy. Reach out here poking. Yeah, who are you talking to? Because I didn't see anybody else mentioning that. I was the one that said that they went quiet for 6 days. Don't tell me you went on a holiday. The holiday, what? The 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. Okay, that's 3 days. What, do you need 3 more to recoup? I went back to work on Monday. I don't know what you're doing, but I went back to work. On Monday. You know what I'm saying? Belmont coming in with a brand new membership. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. You're dope and deserve dope stuff, man. Thank you. You've never had coffee before? Just put it in hot water. It totally melts. Enjoy the earthiness. Oh, gosh. Oh, you were talking to Poop Sack. What did Poop say? All right, hang on a second. What did Sack say? All right. As much flag as Bungie get, we know when the twabs are coming every week. But I agree. But no. I agree with him. I agree with what Sack is saying. Every Thursday around a certain window of time when there will be their twab. They haven't had consistency from New World. How many times have we gotten off the phone, Creature, and we're like, yeah, they'll probably say something tonight, and then they don't. And then we're like, well, maybe they'll say something tonight, and then they don't. And then late Thursday, we get some random thing. I think they've done that twice now. Didn't they do? I think they did the same thing with Into the Void as they did with this PTR. It's random and on Thursday. I'm not saying they don't do consistent updates at all. I'm saying they have had inconsistency. I know that there's like weekly posts and weekly things, but I don't think New World Into the Void announcement. I swear they did the same thing with that. They posted it on some like random Thursday night. It was November the 17th. Okay, that was a Wednesday. Okay, so we did get that one on Wednesday. I thought for sure they had pretty consistent. Wait, no. Hang on. Into the Void is graduated from the public test realm. Oh, no, that's not the Into the Void. No, the Into the Void public test realm announcement is what we need. That was announced. That was a different announcement. Right here. Announcing the public test realm was November the 9th, which was a Tuesday. So they announced the public test realm on Tuesday. On Wednesday, they announced it was going on in the wild, like a week later on a Wednesday. And then they announced the public test realm December update for the winter thing on a Thursday. That's not consistent. That's 3 days of a 5-day work week. Like, one on a Tuesday, one on a Wednesday, and one on a Thursday. I swear one of the Into the Void things hit on a Thursday. I don't know what I'm remembering. I swear there was one on a Thursday night because we faced the same problem. We were like, well, our Friday's already booked. We're reacting like week 14 of Destiny's life cycle, there was a twab. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at this moment in time they should have a twab. I'm saying what they should be doing is at least trying to hit the same time or something. Like, if you're going to have to kick it out late Thursday night, I guess that's fine, but why? We just got done saying all of that was probably already typed up. They knew it was coming. The winter event didn't surprise them. If New World wants me to come back, I would need to hear that 10-man raids are coming to the game and I would be hooked. I don't like doing that, Demetrius. I just need a New World roadmap. New World DLC roadmap. I want to know, when is the New World gameplay expanding, changing, evolving, even if it's very, very rough? I'm saying it's a crap comparison to say, well, the dregs do this. I don't think it's a crap comparison. I think it's a totally fair comparison that every week on the same time they push out a blog post. Do you think Bungie's the only one that does that? Frick them. They're not the paragon of blog posts. Plenty of companies do that. We just covered Star Citizen, and somebody said they have a stream at the same time every week. It's not unique to Bungie to be like, yeah, every Thursday in the evening we're going to have a twab. All I'm saying is, listen, zoom out with me for a second. Because we're getting stuck on the particulars, and that's not what I want to do, right? That's not what I want to do. I don't want to get stuck on the particulars. I am merely saying it's all a part of the same ball of wax. I don't know what to expect as someone who has covered the game exhaustively. That can't be good for the player base. Particulars are important sometimes. I'm not saying they're not important. For what I'm trying to do right now, if you take the fact that like their weekly updates come at random times, we have no idea what the content structure is. They've now dropped 2 big significant updates just out of nowhere. Just boom. Here's a public test realm. Here's a new weapon. We're changing stuff to the map. Boom. We're adding a winter event to the public test realm. And there's no like, oh, we didn't even know any of this was even going to start happening. When you start pronouncing in that particular fashion, because it sounds like a word that represents that company. It's called consistency. Every company should follow it. If you don't, people will not know what to expect. I'm not even, like, I think sometimes we get lost in the weeds here because people think that, like, I'm expecting them to, like, weekly hand me everything on a platter. I'm not saying that. I think it's indicative of the fact that they are just absolutely in reaction mode. Everything comes out, it's just random. And I cover the game and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's coming. I have no sense of what's happening. I could start covering Star Citizen tomorrow, and I know everything that's going on. I know what's coming. I know when it's potentially coming, roughly. Their deliverables are sketched out. I know they have a weekly stream, and I've never covered the game, and I know exactly what's happening with that game. Well, that's not fair. The game's been in development for 10 years. Okay, the archetypes are out there. Mimic them. Mimic them. What kind of consistency do you need from a new game studio that they themselves are still figuring stuff out? That question is easy to answer. What kind of consistency do I need? Regular consistency, please. Like if I'm ordering, small, medium, large, cup of consistency. Well, what kind do you want? I want regular. Just give me regular. I don't need super infused or diet, or just give me regular consistency, please. Just, I know that every day on this week, you're going to be updating us on state of the game. Here's all the known issues. Here's the things we're working on. Here's the next piece of content you can anticipate. Here's generally when we do our content announcements. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to get lost in the weeds here. I'm not being entitled gamer Karen by saying, I don't know what in the frick's going on, so do a better job at letting me know what's going on. That's all I'm saying. And this is why my drum that I've started banging on was, give me a roadmap, even if it's sort of generic. No one has any clue what's happening. I forgot to shout out Belmont for a brand new membership. Did I thank you for that, Belmont? Thank you so much for the brand new membership. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. Can we let them find their way and put some fires out? No, I can't let them find their way. Not now. No, I've been patient. I've been freaking patient. Where are the server mergers? Don't tell me that you've just built the groundwork for it. There are people who literally cannot even play and enjoy the game. What do you mean? I'm done letting them find their way. It's December the 6th. Like, how do you not know by now how to rhythmically put out blog posts so that we know what in the world is going on? How did you not have a plan that you could clue us in with respect to server mergers? Server mergers start this week? Where did they say that? They didn't say it in the PTR announcement. Did they put it in a blog, like a forum post? December 8th, mergers are starting. Okay. Look at their channels. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go on a breadcrumb hunt in their forums for the announcement. I'm not doing that. Voting for Game Awards. I'm going to go to their Twitter. Our public test realm is live for the winter event. Say hello to the newest store content. Downtime was announced on the 30th. Maintenance. This week's update is focused on resolving some of the issues. And so, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. There's no consistency in how they even deliver information. So you have server mergers coming on the 8th, and Twitter has said nothing about it. You're not going to tweet that out? It's in one thread called the dev blog. Yeah, I'm supposed to go to the dev blog and do my own research. That's on me, I guess. I'm supposed to go and find the information. You can't use your Twitter to say the front burner issue that everybody's been ticked off about, it's coming on the 8th. Like an official announcement. Don't you see the problem with this is? Their dev blog is where they announce most of their major info on changes that are coming. The news posts they put on their front page and Twitter is fluff posts. I'm here to tell you that it just creates confusion. On the 30th, 7 days ago, they posted that blog post. This week's update focuses on resolving some of the issues that have arisen from our November update, okay? And in that update on November the 30th, they said they were laying the groundwork for server mergers. If I want to see the TWAB, I got to go look at it. Yeah, and it gets tweet blasted out as a news announcement. Yeah, you got to click and go read. You got to go click and go read. How do you look at this and act like this is a totally legitimate way to deliver information? It's all in different places. I literally the thing that Jay Stubbles put in the Discord is a prime example. It's a prime example. It's the hang on a second. I got to find it. It's about the end game. Yeah, dev blog endgame update. How in the frick am I supposed to find this? It's just a big giant post that some guy put, and it looks great. And it was posted on, it was posted 4 days ago. So it was posted it was posted on Thursday or Friday last week. So what I'm supposed to do is I'm supposed to act like a sleuthing detective, and I'm supposed to spend all this time on their forums combing over their dev blogs? Get the absolute frick out of here. That is not how you keep people informed about what's going on. I'm not even saying I care about Twitter, but your news blast, your here is what's coming, here's the roadmap. I can't be going to an official forum and reading a bunch of individual posts from the devs. They told you where it was if you want to go get it. Sure. Yeah. This is ludicrous apologism at its absolute worst. This is just apologism. Like, I finally hold them to the fire after weeks of being like, okay, let's try to be understanding. They're putting out fires, they're putting out exploits, but I'm not going to sit here and tolerate being told that I'm supposed to go and comb over dev blog forums to find out that server mergers are happening on the 8th. You don't blast that out. It's literally the biggest frustration in the community right now. Your reviews have gone to mixed on Steam and your player base is dropping, but it's on me to know what's going on. I'll go to the dev forums and just read. Like, I've got time to do that. I'm not busy. I'm going to go read books on your forums. Get the ever-loving frig out of here. That's bogus. That is bogus. Keep myself updated from the alerts from Amazon Games Discord server. Just give it a try. Again, homework assignment. Yeah. That's going to help the player base. That's going to help the player base. All the people leaving, all the people frustrated, the end game frustrations, the servers that are, I hit my Christmas tree. The servers that are dwindling into nothing. You know what they need to do? They need to read forum posts and join a Discord server, because that's what's going to get people to play the game again. That's exactly right. That's it. You guys just solved it. You guys just solved the problem. 140,000 peak players on a frickin' Sunday, and that's the solution. People should just be hanging out in the Discord and doing their own research and reading dev blogs. Ridiculous apologism. Like, no. I just knocked the star off my tree. I don't even know where it went, man. Oh, it's underneath me. I swear this morning when I put that on, it like went right on. 4 months from Ryan. It's a gaming tier 2. Thank you so much. Welcome back. Do you understand my point? Like, you guys are getting me fired up on a Monday morning. This is good. I welcome the disagreement. You're right. They could use Twitter more to point you towards their dev blog, but they don't want any official info to come from anyone but the devs, so that info is right from their mouth. Okay, let me break this down for you. Let me break this down for you. When consumer confidence is waning, don't give me utility as if like, well, there's the Discord server and then there's the dev blog. You just lost. You're done. You're done. You think when a game is struggling, that's a solution. Now, that's a solution for your very invested players, the players that are going to run to Reddit and the players that are going to run to forums, okay? But that's not a solution for everybody else. Like, you have to see the difference that I'm drawing here. There are news announcements. There's ways to keep your community informed. Dev blogs is certainly one of those ways, but it's not the way. Neither is a Discord server, right? Use Twitter to go use Twitter to tell people to go check out the dev blog. At the very least, when you have, I'm taking more issue with the server mergers than anything. I'm not like, hear me out here. If some dev is going to make a post and he's like, hey guys, Greg here, we figured out this issue with this particular problem we were having, and I work in the department that's handling it. Here's exactly what we're trying to do to tackle this issue. And he goes, ding, 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 and he gives all these details. You don't need to tweet blast that. That's not what I'm saying. When the devs want to have that level of transparency about like, here's the challenges, here's the things we're working on, here's how we're tackling this particular issue, that's totally fine because the average consumer doesn't give a rip about that. They're not like wanting to hear the finer workings and tunings of like individual percentage points that they're moving on stuff or how they're handling different like exploits, okay? I'm not saying that. The number one frustration for players right now is server mergers. You didn't outline a plan. You didn't get out in front of this and let people know, hey, you couldn't have said 2 weeks ago that we're speculating roughly early December we will be able to do some server mergers. You understand? It's all from the same cloth that I am railing on right now. Where's the content plan? Where's the roadmap? Server mergers, if they would have been announced 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, roughly, don't you think that would have helped people maybe stick it out? Maybe keep playing? But people are like, where are the server mergers? My server's dead. What are you doing? What's happening? And then on the 30th, they come back from 6 days of silence. They're like, we're building foundation. And then I'm supposed to go read a dev blog to find out that it's happening on the 8th. Don't you see the problem with the picture I just painted? That's how they're handling vital information. They knew mergers would be required. They had the merger trees. You would know what servers you would potentially be merged with before. Like this was I talked about this when I was on that podcast with Ginger Prime. We knew back then, and so did they, that mergers would be a thing. Why didn't you outline a plan? Rough sketch, rough roadmap. Why not? Like, I'm getting at the core issue of consumer confidence, right? Consumer confidence and players knowing this is when stuff is coming. Login, pop-up, tweet link to the blog, Reddit link to the blog, etc. You're floored by this argument? I don't know how you're floored. How are you floored that I think they should have had a roadmap from very early on to set player expectations? How are you floored by that argument? Am I speaking German? Like, what? How is that? How am I? I'm not being an entitled Karen. You have a live service ongoing game, and you didn't think that you would need to let people know when things were going to be happening? The link is on the front page. This is a non-issue. Yeah, you should boot up the game that has, you know, a pretty long load time and then leave the game to go read a blog post. I'm curious how Endwalker is going to affect New World's population. First look seems like once Final Fantasy server queues are not awful, New World's going to have it rough population-wise. You covered a game where you literally had to go and read a dev blog to know what was going on for 7 years. Oh, was it a dev blog? Or was it an announcement that they tweet blasted and everybody knew they could go read and get all the info in? They didn't say, oh, hey, we're working on this solution. Okay, cool. And then it gets hidden in a dev blog somewhere. That never happened. When I covered Destiny, number one, it was a rhythmic every Thursday thing that your assertion earlier, Creature, got disproven. They were like, the first TWAB happened before Destiny even launched. They set that tone from the beginning. I knew I could go and read that every Thursday and get my information. Now, what did I always say that they should do? I said they should start putting it in the game. There should be a news page in the game because there are so many players that play Destiny that don't know where this information can be found. It just sort of happens. So I was consistent. I very often said I felt like the basic bullet points and the summaries of the TWAB should be inside the game. There should be a news page that you could go to be like, every week you're like, bing, hey, here's everything that's going on or coming up. I've always said that. So I was consistent even in that game saying, you can't hide this stuff from people. Not everybody checks Twitter. Not everybody's going to watch a YouTube video. Not everybody's checking the forums. This game is having population decline, and server mergers have been in dire need for 3 weeks. And they said, yeah, we built the foundation for it, and then they didn't announce it. It's just like in a dev blog somewhere. I'll repeat myself. Someone sent me links to TWABs for the first 16 weeks of Vanilla D1. I'm not going to go back and do that. I'm not the one that went back and said that they had posted one the week before. It's like TWAB literally stands for This Week at Bungie. Like, I think that's a pretty easy thing to prove that they were doing it weekly. It's in the name. Like, they were doing a weekly blog post back then. They were probably doing it before the game launched. It's the title of the blog is literally This Week at Bungie. Like, what are we even debating? What's wrong to expect people to lift more than one finger to find out? You can expect it, J-Stock. You're not going to get it. Have you interacted with gamers in, I don't know, the last 20 minutes or 2 years? You can't expect people to go on some sort of a searching mission. Man, what do you think people are doing? Let's just enter the mind state and the mind frame of a player who needs a server merger. And they needed it 2 or 3 weeks ago. What do you think they're doing? What do you just spitball? They're either stopping playing or they're going to go to an official, like, well, here's their Twitter, here's their website. I don't see anything. They're not saying anything about server mergers. So they got to go dive down into the dev blogs to find the announcement? I cover the game and I didn't even know it was coming on the 8th. On a side note, I love your shield. Thank you. I cover the game, and I didn't know server mergers were coming on the 8th. My whole point is it's not a fair comparison. Not that AGS shouldn't do better. Well, I mean, I don't know. Wheezy just gave you a Christmas present. He just went through the first however many weeks of TWABs when Destiny 1 launched. I don't know. Do I need to keep going? No. The point has been made. They were doing a weekly blog post even back then. You're literally making me defend Bungie right now. It's not about, oh, it's unreasonable to expect people to go like research and read and go to Reddit and go to the forums. Why are you putting the information there and not everywhere? Rewind the clock 3 weeks when we were looking at those servers. Remember when we were looking at the server charts? And I was like, holy moly, we are blessed and lucky to be on Eden. There are some servers out there that are rough, right? This is a year before Destiny launched. Okay, so there you go. Like, Wheezy just showed they were doing TWABs weekly before the game, before Destiny even launched. To be fair, you were focused on other things Friday, plus you admit you don't regularly check their forums, so that's on you. No, that's not on me. No. There is no impetus and responsibility on me to go check their dev blogs. Absolutely not. I follow them on Twitter, and that's all I should have to do to be informed about what's going on in the game. You're going to be like, all right, here you go, man. Here you go. You want to stay up to date on this game? Okay, what you got to do is you got to follow them on Twitter. Okay. You got to get in their Discord server. Okay. And then make sure and check their dev blog on a daily basis. You're not busy, so, hopefully you like reading because they're pretty lengthy posts. This is how you stay up to date on the game. Quit your job if your only task is to cover information about the game and you think in the slightest logical to only use Twitter. Grow up. Shut the frick up. You just subbed to my channel. Take a walk. Like, I'm talking about the player base, you dolt. I'm not talking about me. I'm saying, right? I'm saying 3 weeks ago, the question was, what are you doing about server mergers? We don't know. Tell us. And they don't say anything. And look at the server. Look at the server and the population decline the last 3 weeks. Look at it. You're attacking me, which is your fatal flaw in your argumentation. I'm not talking about me. You're just being ignorant. You think that Lono's mad that he didn't know that the server mergers were coming. I'm in the gold era, baby. I'm on Eden. I don't need server mergers. I need a community to be educated about what's coming. And 3 weeks ago, when people were like, should I even bother continuing to play? My server's in decline. My server's dying. 3 weeks of silence. And then they shove it in a dev blog. You're out of your head if you think this is how you maintain a player base. You're speaking with part of the player base right now, and from what I've seen so far, most of them don't have a problem seeking out the information they need. And unsurprising, Christina, you're all defending the game. Doesn't that make sense? You're still playing. You're totally fine getting the information from all those places. What about everybody else? What about everybody else? Yeah, I just checked server status. There's a server with 10 people, 276 people on my server this morning. It's unbelievable that you think it's okay to not have a plan and to let the community know about the plan. This is blowing my mind right now. Like, I am not disputing or taking issue with the fact that, like, if people would like to be in their Discord or follow their dev blogs, you're fine. You're fine to do that. What about everybody else? Do we need to go back and look at the server queue times and the 770,000, player peak record that the game has? Do we need to go back and be like, you think all those people are going to go to forums and Reddit and a Discord server? No! You're lucky if they'll check Twitter. What would anyone ever think to check Twitter for information about updates? The only logical thinking would be to check the website and the forum, would it not? No, because the general consensus and the general cultural norm right now is for games to use their Twitter platform, any platform they have, to update the player base. What are you even saying? I don't play the game at all, but for the games I do play, I look up Google first, not Twitter. It's funny that if you guys think you're proving me wrong, you're sadly mistaken. You're proving me right. Did you hear what you said? Well, I check here. Well, I check over there. Well, I check there. man, it sounds to me like there's differences in people, personalities, and expectations, and you guys all go to different places to get your information. Wouldn't it make sense to put it in all those places so regardless of who the player is, they know what the frick is going on? Like, let me take your argumentation and put it back on you. Lono, it's just too much trouble for you to lift a finger. I love that condescending attitude this morning. It's too hard for you to lift a finger to go to the forums. Is it too hard for a developer to lift a finger to tweet? Is that too hard? It's literally your job. It's your job to update the community. It's not my responsibility. Since when is it the community's responsibility to go fact-finding and seek information? Well, there's like 8 posts this week, and if I've got some reading to do. What in the actual, huh? What? What are you talking about? I knew about the server mergers from other sources, mostly company mates, but dang, when I went to actually find the dev blog, I struggled. Yeah, even the dev blog. So how many do I have to scroll through before I find the information that I want? Yeah, or just put it in the game. I knew from YouTube, and I don't play it. Veter, you already called me a Karen, so I'm not reading your comments for a while. You want a name call? You sit in a corner. But Google is the internet, Twitter is Twitter. You're missing the fact that I will lift the finger to go to other places and not just Twitter. That's why we watch people like you, so I don't have to go look at it. You guys are missing the bigger picture. This is what happens. This is why I said I don't want to get caught up in the particulars. Because what ends up happening when you get caught up in the particulars is people argue from their bias because that's how they interact with the particulars. Like, you get your information in your way and you think, what's the big deal? Why can't anybody else do what I'm doing? We're getting lost in the particulars. We're getting lost in the particulars. I have said for a couple of weeks now, they just need to let us know what is coming and when, even if it's very generic and very broad. So 3 weeks ago, when the community is crying for answers about server mergers, and servers some of them are in a terrible state, your answer is to say nothing for 3 weeks and then put it in a dev blog. You don't see the folly in that? This game needs people. You need players. You need full and healthy servers. Like, I don't understand how I'm being turned into the Karen here. Like, I'm asking for very basic things. Like, so 3 weeks ago, when it was very clear this was a growing problem, they didn't say anything. This is why everyone's been asking Bungie for in-game news updates on Destiny, because they know there's a huge portion of the population that doesn't use social platforms for news. Precisely. This is actually a really good example. So we've proven this morning that Bungie had been doing, dev blog posts for, a year before, Destiny even came out, okay? So think about that. Bungie has been doing dev blog posts for 8 years, and how many players in that player pool just still never go check it? They never go check it. Put it in the game. Put it in the game. I said that when I covered Destiny. Put it in the game so people know what in the frick's going on, whether it's a nerf or a buff or whatever. Put a news page. It's been 8 years, and there's still people that'll never go read a twab, okay? So, if you know that as a game developer and you're sort of looking at the grand scheme of things, they have built communication channels and they're not using them in an effective way. That's my issue. Don't sit here and Creature saying, oh, it's a community manages for 18 weeks. No. Don't you dare give them a pass. They made Crucible. This is not some new company. This isn't some little baby indie company, which I've seen indie companies do a great job using their platforms to inform people. Come on. No, they don't get a pass because they're new. Get out of here. This isn't even their first rodeo. They built and then had to kill Crucible, for crying out loud. And they built a game before that. I forget what it was called. It was like a MOBA or something with balls that you threw. I forget what it was. No, they don't get that kind of a pass. You should send Dr. Disrespect your philosophy. You'd make a good member of his game studio team. I would be a great consultant for the doc. Wait, hold up. We have 383 people here and only 187 likes. Come on, guys. Agent Atwood getting here and cracking on you guys early. Thank you. Indie companies scream from every platform they can. They should be blasting news about server merges, trying to get players back. Think of it from two angles, Robert Sheets in chat there. Think about it from two angles. If 3 weeks ago they would have said, early December, we are anticipating being able to do server mergers. You put that in the game, you put that on Twitter, you put that everywhere. Why? Because just saying that is helpful. I'm giving you a crash course in how not to be dumb. This is basic. I'm not saying that they need to build the deliverable transparency architecture that, like, Star Citizen's built over 7 years. I'm not asking for that. I'm saying you're literally not looking at the community and meeting them where they are. That's the problem. Act like a video game studio funded by $1 trillion Amazon is somehow blinded by how to communicate effectively. Right, like, come on. If you've enjoyed being condescending to Lono, make sure and smash the like button. Thanks, Nova. How do people not see the point that you're making? Like I said, I think we got lost in the particulars. Here's what I think's happening. If I try to come through the audience members that were disagreeing with me, this is what was going on. This is what was happening. People were basically saying, Lono, I don't understand. There's a wealth of knowledge on the forums. I know everything that's going on. I know everything that's coming. Where is this coming from, Lono? What's the deal? It's all there. They are being transparent. They are working really hard. What you just said in your argumentation with me, none of that is wrong. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It has nothing to do. So it's not even that, like, Creature and Christina and some of you others that were taking up for them, you weren't wrong. It just didn't have any bearing on what I was saying. Sure, you are 100% correct. You can be a super informed player, and bravo to the devs that are brave enough to do that. Seriously, I'll give them credit. I will give Amazon Games credit. Devs that are willing to step out and actually type and interact with the public, that's not a normal and fun thing to do for devs. Like, that's not really what they like, and to be quite honest, y'all are the nicest version of community out there. You know how dark it gets, okay? I wouldn't want to be a dev like typing like, okay, so guys, we kind of messed this thing up. Sorry. Like, I wouldn't want to have to do that, okay? I can see that side of it. I'm in a bubble of active players. Right. That's what I was driving at, is like, that's great for you. You're a subset of the community. You're great. Like, you're awesome. You guys are the ones that if I booted up right now and was like, hey, I want to go try and do something, there would be people here trying to help me do it. There'd be people here that would know more than me. You do understand that a lot of the times. Like, I'm the guy in the chair with the mic, but, like, you guys a lot of the times are way, way more informed than me. I get to tap into basically the mind of a genius. I get to tap into that with chat. Because I can be like, hey guys, how do you do this thing with this gem? And 8 people in chat know. Okay? So you're beautiful. You're awesome. You're just a little misguided this morning, thinking that, like, because that's how you engage with the game, that Amazon hasn't made a fatal flaw in their communications up to now. You understand? You're great. You're lovely. But you're not seeing the bigger picture here. They have been losing players very, very quickly, and servers are in a terrible place. You can't handle a situation like that the way that they've handled it. Don't try to tell me they're new, they're not experienced. No. No! They knew on September the 28th, server mergers will be a thing. Will be a thing. Why was that not front and center communication the minute the population dropped to where it dropped and it was clear some of these servers are suffering? The point is, it's a fault, but not a major? No, it is a major problem. I disagree. You can't drop this down in the hierarchy and act like it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. If you want this game to survive, you better mimic what everybody else is doing that has maintained those engagements. I'm even on a dying server. I know. And Christina, you're one of the people that's like, okay, you got to make hay while the sun is shining, okay? And you're saying, well, you got to farm nodes while the server's dying. I did not mean to make that rhyme, but you get the you get the point. You're like, well, you know, I'm going to make the best of this situation. And good on you for not being the soured, you know, lemon-faced person, like, you know, they just sucked on a lemon and they're angry about everything. But I'm not going to hold it against somebody to be like, this is ridiculous. We've waited 3 weeks. We've waited 3 weeks. And you put it in a dev blog? Come on. It's a big front and center problem. They have given you places to go, just not the places you usually expect. So it's a bad move, but it is out there. I never disputed the fact that it wasn't information that could be obtained. You have to meet gamers where they're at. You guys know. You know how gamers are. You have to see how foolhardy this communication method is. Have you ever interacted with gamers? We debated with the Destiny community about stuff for years. You have to meet them where they are. That was one of the main reasons I was like, you need a news page in Destiny. I know people who straight up re-rolled after hitting 60 on a dead server. Insane. Ugh. Destiny about to pop off with its 30th on the Dawning event. You think, have you looked at the player base numbers in Destiny? Dawning event ain't gonna do jack squat, my friend. That game is on life support until Witch Queen comes out. It is a whoo. It's understandably, I'm not taking a cheap shot. They're not doing anything, and Dawning ain't gonna do much to change that. Now the Halo campaign, I don't think is gonna do much either to New World. I don't see them as being in the right hemisphere. You know, in Fortnite's new season. I don't think so. I don't think those are... I think that Final Fantasy, once they get their server issues straightened out, they pose more of a threat to the player base on New World. Thought it was called The Yawning. Tomorrow that game will dominate the world. Tomorrow is a content drop. Oh, it's more than just the Dawning? I mean, I'm not paying attention to that freaking game. Oh, 30th anniversary Halo campaign in Fortnite. The 30th DLC drops tomorrow with Moments of Triumph, a new dungeon, and a 6-player activity. Oh, yeah, I've not been paying attention to that game. It's the 30th anniversary. Yeah. Well, and they're doing it the day before Halo, which makes sense, right? Like, 343 is playing nice, I would imagine. New dungeon, new 6-man, new loot, and Void 3. Oh, okay. I thought they already did. Yeah, I don't cover the game anymore. I thought they already pushed out the Void stuff. In any case, I don't think it's going to do much to New World because I just don't think that's how this game operates. I think Final Fantasy is a greater threat to Final Fantasy Edgewalker is a greater threat to New World's population. If you're not deep into games following and going to the website and checking all the time, 90% of players didn't know about the problems in the last couple of years or a streamer they watched showed them. Well, right. You also have to consider there's large portions of the population that play games and never watch a streamer or a YouTuber. They just love the game and play the game. And if you're completely in the dark and you're booting up and you're like, man, our server just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, I think that Amazon Games needs to consider that. You have to consider that, like, okay, we need people that are in dying servers to, like, be clued in as to what's going on. Like, here's our tentative plan or something. You need to have that news, baked into the game. And I know they have, like, their little announcement section when you first boot up the game, but it's too little too late now for server mergers. They could have gotten in front of this, like I said, like 3 weeks ago and been like, we acknowledge that this was a thing that we knew was coming. We knew that, like, New World population, there's no way it was going to stay at the fever pitch that it was the first 3 weeks. That's just not possible. And so this was something we anticipated, and here's how we're going about it, right? I wish Halo multiplayer campaign was releasing. Right, co-op would have been nice. If it wasn't for Lono, I would have completely lost interest in New World, and I wouldn't know anything that's happening right now. All 10 of them on that dead server need that info. Well, now, yeah, there's 10 people, right? But Chest Pain, a couple of weeks ago, I don't even know when that was, when we pulled up that really cool website where we were looking at the server graphs. And I was like, yo, they need... And I said at that point in time, I was like, they got to get in front of this, man. New World server merges has got to be soon. It was very clear. And I'm not saying that... So if you think of it from the realm of of a timeline, they may have thought, we can ride this to January and we'll do merges in January. So it's possible that they had to back up the time frame for merges because all the exploits, all the times they had to disable the trade house, all the problems led maybe the population decline, maybe it increased. So they anticipated needing to do this in early January, and instead they're having to do it in early December, which potentially is why they couldn't give us a date or a guess 3 weeks ago, because they were like, yo, your all's work on server mergers, you better hurry up because this isn't looking good, okay? That to me just points to more ill-preparedness, because you knew on September the 28th that server mergers were going to be needed, and you even had servers in groups so that you knew who you would be merged with. We knew that day one. We talked about this when I was on the podcast with Ginger Prime. So there is the possibility that their timeline had to be bumped up, and therefore they might have even had guys working on it, and they were like, look, we thought we had until January. We're still running through testing, or we're still debugging, or we're still running simulations. This isn't ready right now. You can come out and say that. Do you understand? You can come out and say, in regard to server mergers, we acknowledge that right now some servers are in a very, very rough spot, and we apologize for that. We anticipated needing to do server mergers 6 weeks from now. It's looking like we're going to have to do it in 3 to 4 weeks, and we will update you on how quickly we can roll that out. Do you see what I just did? I acknowledge and I affirm the pain and the frustration in the community, and I give a rough estimate so there's at least a glimmer of hope. Silence is never the answer in these scenarios. Neither is shoving it in a dev blog. I'm not talking about tweaking a weapon. I'm not talking about fixing a quest or a boss's spawn timer. I'm talking about something that is fundamental to the health of this game, and they didn't say anything, and now they've lost players probably because of it, because people were just like, I had no idea what was going on. My server basically died. Give people the ability to change servers if the mergers are taking too long. We forgot to tell them that server mergers cost money. What do you mean? Like, oh, like it's a cost to them and that's why it's been hard on them or something? Like it's costing them money? That was another thing they could have done. That's another thing you could have done. Couldn't you just have done a report and been like, here's a bunch of servers that are in a really, really rough spot right now. So we're gonna push out an update on all those servers and give those people transfer tokens and be like, look, you know, mergers are not going to happen when we want them to. So here's a token to get off this server. Now that might have made problems worse. I mean, that's entirely possible. Server mergers cost money. I think Eugene's just being cheeky. We had some people that were, you know, taking up for Amazon this morning, and I don't know. That's what the Halo's CM's response to the microtransactions were. I was poking. Oh, that's this afternoon's topic, is the Halo Reddit getting shut down. We're talking about that this afternoon. So that should be good. That should be proper spicy, like this morning's been spicy. If you guys have been enjoying the conversation, by the way, we got wound up. I got loud. I got fiery. I've been kind of holding back. Like I feel like I gave these guys 2 or 3 weeks of grace, and I was like, all right, enough is enough. What the frick are you guys doing? I feel like I gave them enough time before I started really taking swings. And I took some swings this morning. No, I'm not saying the game is dying or dead. I wasn't unkind. I didn't say they were dumb or inept. I said they have been failing to properly use their communication channels, right? And so if you've enjoyed that kind of a conversation, that kind of a debate, remember to hit the subscribe button, the bell button. I do keep it safe for work, even though I can get pretty ramped up. I mean, I do say frick, so you know, depending on what you want your kiddos to hear, but I'm safe for work. A lot of people throw me on Monday through Friday like video game radio, so be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button. That supports me. That's free, by the way, hitting subscribe. Smash that like button. We do have direct ways to support the channel. If you're in the mood for some holiday gifts for your family, Rageless Roast makes for a great stocking stuffer. This is our coffee, by the way. My wife and kids ship it to you with little thank you notes. We might do something fun for the holidays, so get your orders in. We have a holiday blend that's limited run, and it's going fast. People really, really like it, and then we have a light and a dark roast. All of our coffee has balanced acidity, which makes it very, very drinkable. People like it, you know, black with creamer, French roast, all of that. You could also consider becoming a paying member. That is the join button or the join command. That supports me directly with a paid membership, and you get a badge, emotes, and you get increased access in our Discord. We want to try something really fun this Friday night with Halo Infinite multiplayer, so get that installed. Even if you're not a big Halo fan, you could still jump in and play this Friday night and have fun with us, especially if you're a member. We may have to limit it to members depending on how big the turnout is. And if you're doing any Christmas shopping on Amazon, use my Amazon affiliate link. That's in the description below, or the Amazon command. You won't get a discount or anything, but it does give me credit. So if you're doing any of your shopping on Amazon, be sure to use my link. If you have to come back later, it's in the description, or you can use the command here or in the Discord. I told you last week the philosophy at 343 with Staten is to helicopter the community. Everything in that game is built to stop gamers from grinding hours. Closing the Reddit is very helicopter. Well, we'll talk about that later. Stick around for that. I don't want to hijack it. We're only about halfway through this show. I want to take a look at the poll here. New World content roadmap. Would it help? Okay, so if you're new and tuning in, make sure and take our poll. A New World DLC or, you know, New World gameplay roadmap. Would it help? 73% are saying yes. Now 27% are saying no. Okay, I'm actually curious, if you checked no, why you don't think it would be helpful. I do have people often take this position sometimes. They say, no, they shouldn't be doing roadmaps. Roadmaps are, a danger. They're a pitfall. They can cause more harm than good. And so I'd be interested in hearing from people who think along that realm. Definitely am curious what you guys think. And it's clear we might not even cover the New World Endgame update thing. I'm looking at the interest today, both on Search and Suggest. This game may be getting shelved until they actually do something. Like, there's just maybe when they actually push the holiday event into the game, we would cover that and play that. But Halo Infinite review scores: a 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 10, a 9.25, a 9, a 9, a 9, a 4 out of 5. All right, well, so are all of those campaign reviews? They shut it down because it was criticism and said, listen, don't do that. Please don't do that. You got to save that one for me. That's for the second show. We can't get on the Halo thing right now. We can't. You're going to cannibalize my second show. I usually don't police chat that rigidly, but when you're jumping ahead of me, I have to pull the reins. Okay, so Creature says, would you agree that the live state of the game format is the bar that's been set? Okay, so I would actually say, Creature, another way. I would say it another way. I think bare minimum, you have to have a blog that at least does that. A bare minimum. You need a blog, right, to say, like, here is the essential, state of the game. Known issues, progress on known issues, upcoming whatever, upcoming content, da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, here's New World gameplay in a nutshell, right? Here's a nice New World update for you every single week, okay? Like a dev blog? No, I'm not talking about a dev blog. I think dev blog is a completely different category. A dev blog is less commercial. It's a lot harder to hack your way through it. I'm talking about a too long didn't read that basically grabs the dev blog and says, here's everything, right? If you think a dev blog is a weekly state of the game, then you're misunderstanding what a weekly state of the game is, right? You have to make the dev, think of it this way. You guys are campaigning for the utility and the goodness of the dev blog. You should be in my corner when I say, make that palatable in a weekly format so everybody knows what in the world's going on and they don't got to go and become you. If you want everybody to become you and they should just go read the dev blogs and comb over everything, you would make for a terrible developer. You'd be bad at your job. That's not an insult. I'm honestly saying that. Like, if you expect the spectrum of gamers to act like you'd be terrible at making a video game, okay? Because you would make it for you, you'd communicate in your way, and that would be awful. You would not get very far as a developer, okay? As I said, you have to meet people where they are. And again, I've been consistent. When I covered Destiny, I said that. I would say, listen, these news segments and updates are super important, and 75% of the community has never stepped foot on Reddit, a forum, Twitter, or a YouTube channel. Meet them where they are, put that crap in the game, right? I'd even support them poaching Hamish, right? I'm campaigning for a live show that gives us updates like Division. Here's one of the reasons why I think a live show is a big ask, okay? Because we saw this even in those Bungie streams, okay? It is not an easy thing to do. It can be a little awkward. It can be a little cringy. People can state something and then it gets twisted, right? Like the one time Deej went off script and made assurances about the Crucible. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have done that. Do you want to know why he did that? Was because, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and take credit for it, but I was one of the front runners of creating the idea that they were removing PvP. It's still one of my most watched videos that I uploaded at that time about, are they removing PvP? Because it sure freaking seemed that way. that idea got traction. It got traction on the forums. It got traction on Reddit. Like, are they removing PvP? The signs seemed to point there. And that was, they were doing like an art stream or something. And he goes off script to make assurances that they're still investing in PvP. I mean, and when he did that, unfortunately, he stated some things and had some phrases that got combed over by everybody. And that's one of the reasons that a live stream is so risky and so scary. Because if you say the wrong phrase or you say the wrong thing, how long did we debate MMO in Destiny? How long did we debate that nonsense? Why? Because Luke Smith walks out and says, we want an excellent MMO, an action MMO, right? He comes up with his own hybrid category, and he calls it an action MMO. And look at how many debates about if they want to be an MMO, they're going to have to and then that becomes a major point of contention and criticism and complaint. Because he says MMO in a broadcast, and people run with it. What was the stream where the developer was in their PJs? Yeah, that was, they were going for something hokey. That I feel like people gave her a hard time needlessly. I understood what they were doing, right? In any case, the point that I'm making is, I think it's a really, really big ask to say, do a weekly live stream. I think that's a big ask. I think a lot of your developers don't want to do it. You can have an excellent CM. You can have great community managers. Can you imagine Bungie's CM DMG? Can you imagine him on a stream? I can't. It takes a certain level of skill and presence and giftedness with communication and clarity. They lost their frontman for live streams when they lost Deej. You can't just grab somebody and be like, here you go, buddy. Get on that microphone. Get ready. It's a unique skill set. I mean, you're basically asking them to step out in front of the world, and that's what it feels like. You step out in front of the world, look at the camera, like, hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the weekly New World State of the Game live stream. We've got updates on the known problems, things we're patching this week, and content that should be dropping in the next 2. Like, you're not going to get people that can do that. That was not an audition tape, by the way. They should hire better. Well, but only if that's their goal. Only if that's their goal. If you've got somebody that's good at the tweeting and the Reddit and the forums, I mean, goodness gracious, like Bungie hired Cosmo off of Reddit. So if you've got people that are good at that, they don't necessarily need to be live talent. Do you understand? I don't think live talent and being a good community manager, I don't think those skill sets necessarily come in a lot of packages, if I'm honest. I think a lot of CMs are good at what they do, but they wouldn't be good on-air talent. Come on, Creature, you manage on-air talent. You know it's a rare thing to find somebody that can do that. It really, really is. I think you might even really limit your pool of applicants if you were like, yeah, we need community managers who are good at, and you list all the things, experienced at, and you list all the things. Oh yeah, and we need you to be on-air talent. No thanks. How many people wouldn't even apply? They would see that and be like, I'm good. I'm good. I see what streamers and YouTubers put up with. I'll apply elsewhere. I think they're trying to call you because they need someone to do it. The problem is you couldn't just you can't grab someone like me. You can't grab a YouTuber and do it. Now, if you want to have me host and interview devs, well, now you might be onto something. I can't be a spokesperson for your game. I can't. I could host a show for your company and interview your devs and get them to answer questions, agreed upon questions and structure. I'm not going to bamboozle them, right? So when exactly are you going to admit the game is broken? I'm not talking about that. I think there'd be room for that. I would be willing to host a show like that for a dev company. Maybe that's something I should be... That might be a brilliant business strategy. Like, basically going to devs, I'm like, hey, I'll host your weekly show. I'll interview your devs for you. So if you want to do a weekly state of the game, I can be your host. For a fee. Right? You can stipulate what you want to cover, questions that are okay, questions that are in bounds, questions that are out of bounds, and now you've got a weekly show with professional on-air talent. I don't know if we're giving away a golden idea here, but that may be the ticket, because even a CM could sit there and answer questions, and they wouldn't feel that pressure of being the host. CMs have no problem sitting down and doing interviews. How do I know this? I did it at E3. They have no problem. You mic them up, you walk them out, you let them know what you're going to ask about, ask them the talking points they want to hit on. Bingo, here we go. They sit down on the couch and I lead. Welcome back to E3 on blank. We're sitting here with the developers from Fall Guys, the game where you shove your friends to win. Tell me about this game. Why should I play it? Like, I don't know. But the audience is the issue. Two, we do it almost daily. Right. Why don't you try this guy? Lono's in the CM. You could engage devs to be their communications consultant. Next week's Forbes and DCP present This Week in New World. Right. Yeah, but I wouldn't want to do that with my content. I think that would be really challenging. I mean, combing over the dev blogs or whatever. I don't know. We can talk later. That's what professional sports radio is all about. They interview the GMs and the managers from the teams all day. You need to get Creature on the horn establishing contacts with AGS. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have a contact over there. I could just pitch him on the idea. Like, look, you pick a handful of people that you think would be comfortable answering questions, and I'll be your host of a weekly show. It's not hard. Oh, that was so good. If you guys have hit sub this morning, if you have hit sub this morning, thank you. New World is one of the many games that we cover with regularity. I have a show this afternoon where we're going to talk about Halo and the situation with Reddit. We will be covering Halo this week, obviously, with the release and the campaign and everything finally landing. We also cover From Software games, Elden Ring, playing some Sekiro. If you guys want to see somebody go from like edge of a rage quit, edge of a I don't get this game to a game clicking, you need to watch the most recent episode of From Fridays where I play Sekiro. It's a great stream. It's a great journey. To go from the rage and the frustration at the beginning to whooping up on Madame Butterfly. It's an excellent video. That's one of the best videos to show people, like, Sekiro's not a bad game. It withholds information from you. And once you have that information properly understood and it clicks, you can really, really enjoy it. I'll take the credit. Eugene gets some credit, and then the guy that came in and put a cherry on top of the meal was the guy that said, hit her until she deflects. Like, that guy and what Eugene said at the beginning of the stream, that's all I needed. That was all I needed. Those two pieces of information, it was like they clicked together, and the light bulb went on. You owe those people in chat some donuts. You were a cranky panda for a bit there. Oh, it was frustrating. I'm not the only person who thinks that about Sekiro, by the way. The idea that, like, they don't quite give you enough information or give it to you in a way that is sensible, right? The fact that Eugene could read some wikis and give me 3 sentences that made sense of it, like, that to me is like, come on. Hit her until she deflects. It sounds like I'm using a new tactic. Oh my word. Educational deaths equal Souls games. But is it an educational death if you don't know why it's happening? Like, if I blindfold you and I just keep slapping you in a dark room and you don't know why it's happening, you're not learning anything. Those kind of games are frustrating on purpose. They are frustrating on purpose, for sure, Christina. Like, for sure. Like, they are at their core frustrating and hard. But the challenge in Sekiro is there's a very, very specific element that they don't explain well. And until you understand that element, you're like, I don't understand. Like, it's not a matter of like, okay, I'll give you an example. So in Dark Souls 3, it was clear in certain fights, oh, that happens. Oh, I misread that animation. Or, oh my gosh, the second phase of this fight's crazy. Okay. Oh, I'll give you an example right from Dark Souls. There's a guy that, Yorn or whatever his name is, the big giant guy, and you have to kill him with a sword in a very specific way. That's essentially what Sekiro feels like. If you don't know that particular thing, you're like, I don't get it. Every boss feels like that fight. You're like, what in the frick? It's taking forever, and I don't know why. They do a crap job of explaining the basic combat mechanic, the one that the whole game revolves around. That's the issue. I don't need a tutorial for every boss in the game. I don't need my dadgum handheld. I need you to give me the basics. That's a fair request. I'll switch to PC for the afternoon chat. I always typo and fat thumbs, my horrible grammar mistakes. Engaging, oh yeah, you don't want to try to debate me on a phone. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. I'll start hosting debates. Welcome to the weekly debate. We call this the Rumble and the Tumble. Up next is is Greg. He's got an iPhone. He's out in the cold. His fingers are a little bit numb, and I'm gonna be sitting here on the microphone. This should be interesting. Totally an unfair advantage. They have a box that explains that at the beginning. Yeah, and it's a crappy explanation. It doesn't make any sense. When someone's external wiki or Eugene can explain it better, the NPC to train, see, but now you're making a fatal mistake, Veeder. The NPC doesn't explain that mechanic, and he should. Oh, no. That guy that keeps getting back up and down. All he has to do is explain that. All they gotta do is give him two boxes, a box about a health and then a box about the posture, and you fight him in two different ways. You have no frame of reference when they explain it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. There's no context. It's just like, here you go. If you went and fought him and had a context to try it out and understand it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. This makes sense why I shouldn't be trying to deflect the drunkard or why I should be aggressive with Madame Butterfly. That's why they're back-to-back bosses, I think. Your view, it's the vision they had for the game? Yeah, and I can call it, I can criticize it. I just, imagine having that information in your brain and then you encounter the drunkard. Well, now I have to learn how to fight him. He's tough even once you know like that. I'm asking for the mechanic to be explained. That's it. You don't even have to tell me about the drunkard or Madame Butterfly. I would find them, and with that information in my head, I would sleuth out what to do. Oh, you only read the second half of it. Pretty sure none of the Souls games give you any information about controls or mechanics. That's part of the Get Good, Lono. They're trying to make sense of it for you, whether it's bad design. Got it. In your view, it's the vision they had for the game. Now, I understand what you're saying, Distorted, but here's the thing. In Dark Souls 3, there is no undercurrent of a mechanic that would make a boss take, like, no damage until you get to Yorm, or whatever his frickin' name is, where you kill him with the lightning sword, or whatever that sword is, the storm sword, or whatever. Until you get to him, there is no undercurrent. The whole loop from Ogre, Spear, Drunkard, Red Dude, and Butterfly are each trying to teach you the combat, and it's only looking back that you realize it. But they should have been more basic. There should have been more basic stuff. Right. Yeah. That's the issue. Is like, you can play Dark Souls 3. There's not some undercurrent mechanic that's gonna, like, until you figure it out, you're not gonna be able to beat everything. Dark Souls lets you out level everything. Sekiro doesn't. Right. As a cyber nerd, I can tell you guys to use a certain type of encryption on your home routers, but without the context of certain algorithms being easy to hack, that explanation doesn't make sense. Yeah. Yo, what's good, Aaron? So, we're getting a little sidetracked. We're getting a little off topic, which I'm okay if we're off topic because we're 2 hours into the show. I just don't want to cannibalize the second show, so I'm not going to like stop us from getting off topic. I'm only going to pull the reins if I feel like we're cannibalizing show number 2, because the dual talk show format's been working really, really well. Elden Ring does not hold your hand at all in terms of telling you how anything works. Well, I can have a crap build in Dark Souls, but from Souls and BOP, it's not the same at all. I don't understand that sentence. The December update for New World's crazy. Yeah, I don't think it's going to do much for the player base, though. We'll see. Oh, I can have a crap build in Souls, but farm Souls in BOP. I understand. They aren't big on tutorials besides maybe Sekiro, but that's only because they changed the way the game plays a bit compared to normal Souls games. Right. Have we sold any coffee today? Who's going to be the first coffee order of the day? We haven't sold any coffee. We sold 3 over the weekend, and my wife printed the labels last night. If anybody sees Ric Flair Woo hanging out in here, the Discord, we need to get in contact with him. His order came back. I don't know what happened. Elden Ring being more of a discovery game has me excited. Right. So, to catch you guys up this morning, if you missed the hot and fiery debate, there was a very, very lively debate for about an hour this morning about my contention is that Amazon Games has not done a very good job informing the community about what is going on. I think their top priority right now should be to outline a content plan, and I believe that they failed to acknowledge the server mergers need, and the server mergers when it was going to be time. And I think that was a significant mistake, right? Sekiro gameplay from Friday episode 1. You didn't pay much attention to that tutorial. I read it, and then I went in the room, and then I didn't go back and fight her again. And also, you have to understand, that tutorial pops up after I've fought the drunkard. They don't frame it. They don't frame it. Trust me. Eugene's beaten the game like 3 or 4 times, and another person has played the game a bunch, are both agreeing with me. They don't couch the tutorial in a place that makes sense. Like, the fact that you're going and finding where the tutorial popped up to be like, well, you didn't pay much attention to it. Like, they don't ground it in anything. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, okay, and then I go in and fight her. And they don't, that tutorial makes no sense of how you're even supposed to fight her. Jin's Japanese voice actor is my favorite anime character's voice actor. Really? Hold up, you haven't read about the expertise system and the fact that they're adding 2 more level 66 point of interest areas for chest farming, then adding a whole gypsum cast system for HWM boosts. I was going to cover that tomorrow. I wanted to have 2 separate discussions, like the public test realm and the winter event thing gets announced, and then they also had that big, huge outline about the end game. I didn't feel like I didn't want to slam that all into one video. So, sure, you can go and read that. That's not a roadmap. I'm talking about a roadmap, brother. I'm talking about the community being able to click on something and being like, here is generally when things are going to be happening. My main point was 3 weeks ago when it was clear server mergers was a need. New World server merges were needed, known to be needed 3 weeks ago. I feel they have failed to handle it in a timely way, and they didn't even communicate in a good way about it. That's the problem. At a foundational level, this game's not going to go very far if they don't address really, really big significant issues in a good way. Now, if I try to defend them a little bit, I would say one of the reasons they've struggled to do that is every week there's some new exploit and some new fire they have to put out. So that's probably been one of the communication funnel struggles, is they're like, well, yeah, every week there's a new exploit. Every week there's a new reason to shut down the trade house. Every week, and then we got to do this maintenance, and we got to push this patch and update out. And so, sadly, the exploits and the nonsense that people were doing largely probably led to everything getting shelved or at least sidelined. I want to know when the first expansion is coming and what the area expanse plan is. Anything else is just lip service unless it's bug fixes. Well, and that's the thing, is I would honestly think a content roadmap would include, like, we're looking at fixing some of these issues here. Again, rough approximation. You're not going to see an expansion anytime soon. With MMOs like this, it can take years. Oh, I don't know about that. I could see an expansion hitting, if not in January, they'll wait, and it'll be maybe in the summer. Maybe April. Player base is tanking, and AGS thinks it's a good idea to make the endgame grinding even worse. Look at WoW. That's not really comparable, though. WoW is a very different game. WoW didn't have a. I don't think WoW had a Christmas event, did it? Like two months in. I just don't think that this content is built for that. I think it's built to have more rhythmic injections. I think they know, yeah, a year, if they wait that long, there's nothing left. If they wait a year, you won't have any servers. A living, breathing economy and a living, breathing trade house and wars and stuff. Hey, there it is. First coffee order of the day from Dom. Thank you, Dom. Snagged a bag of the Frickmas. They make great presents, you know? A good bundle is to get the coffee you want, get 2 bags that you want, and then grab a third for somebody else, for the holidays. I've not played many MMOs. Right, and that's what people have told you. They're not wrong. They're not wrong in saying that yeah, other MMOs, it took a long time for DLCs to drop. Like, New World, a New World DLC, I don't think is going to land in the same way that another MMO's DLC would land, for a handful of reasons. I feel like they have more clearly structured this game to be like, they're going to treat it more like Destiny, I think. I don't think it's going to be exactly like it, but I think it's going to be more like that. There's a narrative floating around that AGS is killing crafting. They need to be pushing some positive news. Killing crafting as in, like, making it really, really hard, or, like, killing it off? The New World gameplay, New World endgame content loop is, I'm telling you, the biggest mistake that I think they made was letting you get everything, letting you max everything. With the trade skills all being able to go to 200, I think that's a snake eating its tail. I don't think that's going to create a vibrant endgame and a vibrant economy. Killing it is a route to gear and stuff. Huh. They made the jewel crafting better. Making it hard to get any benefits from it as far as leveling and watermarking and such. Killing crafting by not making it a viable way to get gear for endgame. And listen, I don't want to be like I told you so, but I have always said that crafting is a danger for that reason. You have to choose between 2 ditches. There's the ditch of, I can just grind for materials and make the best weapons and armor and everything in the game, and that's not very entertaining. That's not very life-giving. It's incredibly mechanical, right? Just get enough of this magic dust and you can make the best wand in the game. So then you're just focusing on grinding as much dust as you can get, as opposed to pursuing and chasing loot, which is more psychologically stimulating and more loyalty entrenching. The other ditch that you're going to fall into, which it sounds like that's the one they're about to run aground in, is crafting is pretty much meaningless once you get to the end game. So you create this substantive, massive system with materials and levels and stuff you can make, and then you get to the end game and you're like, well, none of the stuff I can make is that great, so it's literally pointless. I've always said crafting is so risky for these reasons. Like when you let people make their own loot instead of chasing their own loot, you run into the ditch of there's no reason to go and get loot in the game. Just make all the best stuff here. That's not a good system. Or, well, we can't let people make the best loot in the game. That's a little bit short-sighted. And then, well, now crafting is irrelevant. Off topic, what is a Margot? This is a quote from a Christmas movie. I don't know Margot. Why is the floor wet, Todd? It's from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This is one of the Christmas shirts that 80s Tees has. So if you're looking to get some Christmas shirts, use code Lono at 80stees.com. You'll get 30% off. I have a ton of high-level mats that won't sell because no one's making anything. Without crafting and gathering, what is actually the point of playing? The combat is boring. I think the combat's fine. I think the dungeons... I think New World expeditions, like the New World gameplay at the end, I think it's fine. I think it's fun. And getting loot drops is enjoyable. I don't feel like you've played the expeditions if you feel like, well, the combat's lame, the combat's terrible. If you lean into being a tank or a DPSer or a healer, I find the combat to be very good. Yeah, they have Die Hard Christmas shirts, 100%, yes. UPS says they delivered my Rageless Roast order to my neighbor as requested. I guess my neighbor liked the coffee so much they didn't tell me they had it. Oh my gosh. We've had some weird things happen with shipping recently too, with just stuff coming to our house. I don't know what's going on. They need to add more PvE with world bosses and actual raids. If you lean into being carried, the combat's fantastic. Well, no, that's not true. We played that one raid, that one expedition, and we didn't have a tank. We pulled that off, and I wasn't even spec'd that well as a healer, so I clearly must have been doing something right? Void bent armor. Everyone got it and decided not to craft anymore. Right, you're always, and see, this is a dilemma that's unique to ongoing RPGs, right? This is a dilemma that is unique to ongoing RPGs. Okay, track with me here. You have to create really great stuff for people to chase, right? You have to. Eventually, they're going to get it. And when that happens, they will be faced with the conundrum and the question that everyone always is faced with. And that question is, what now? What now? I got the really bright, shiny, good stuff. And now that I have the really bright, shiny, good stuff, what now? What do I do? What's next? Now, typically, what you would do is evolve the world, add stuff, pushing them to grind more, level more, chase more. That's typically what you would do. You would see that as like an arrival point, and when you're at that arrival point, you would then say you now are sort of waiting for more content, okay? So we always have to remember that, like, just because you get to the end game and get all of the great, shiny, awesome, strong stuff doesn't mean that's an inherent flaw in the game. That's just sort of like, that's what happens in these games. Tanks is easily the best way to play in these kinds of games because people always need one. Oh, for sure. The game is very PvP based, right? It is, but you certainly don't have to touch the PvP. I've had a blast and got my money's worth out of the game 10 times over by never touching PvP. I touched it one time. You know what I mean? Your server crafters must not be making much stuff then, because on my server, Voidbent armor isn't considered best in slot anymore. Diablo 3's game director said this: "We firmly believe that by shutting down the auction houses, it really paves the way to make sure that killing monsters in-game is the most rewarding, the most satisfying, the most compelling way to get your hands on those items." Yeah. No, I've not done an outpost rush. This is a philosophical disagreement. So I don't know if somebody can be right or wrong, but my philosophy out of ongoing games that are RPG and have loot, I think auction houses, trade houses, and crafting are acid. You're playing with acid. And if you spill it, it's going to corrode and devour everybody's drive to play and chase and do stuff. I'm telling you, I think you're playing with acid, or I guess you could say you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire. It could serve a good purpose. It could really be good, but boy, oh boy, if you mishandle that fire, you're gonna burn things right to the ground, just right down to the husk. Just why bother? You can just get everything from the trade house. Why bother? You can just craft everything. You gotta be so careful with crafting and auction houses. It was one of my primary concerns before this came out. I was like, an auction house? Really? A player-run auction house? A trade house? I was like, good luck. Good luck. What's been one of the primary problems with this game is the trading. How many other MMOs spilled the acid? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I'm not an expert on the other internal systems of like MMOs and things, so I couldn't like reference a game that like got it right. Yeah, when Amazon gave out 300,000 gold, what the what? We're gonna see how Bungie does theirs. Bungie's will be a time-gated, extremely limited. The scope of whatever they decide to add is not. No, I know that company, man. There's no way they're gonna outline like an actual substantive, expansive crafting system. It'll be time-gated. It'll be limited in scope. It'll be very, very controlled. It's not going to be much different than the way that you're able to focus and grind for weapons right now. It'll be an amalgamation of that. It'll be a horse of a different color, and they'll just call it crafting. I logged into EverQuest 2 for the first time in 3 years, received a 12-year veteran reward. They're like, it's been 74 years. It's been a long time since you've played, right? You can only craft 10 items per season. Want to do more? You can with silver, right? What if it's not? I mean, I genuinely don't care. I'm just making a prediction. It'll be really limited and potentially monetized. And I think the scope of what you'll be able to do will be also limited. I think it'll be time gated. I think it'll be I think like limiting it to so many per season. Yeah, 100%. I think that's how they'll do it. They'll limit it, they'll monetize it, and the reach of it will not be that expansive. If you think there's ever a time you're booting up Destiny and crafting a god roll, no, I don't think so. There'll be 3 layers between you and the result that you want. There'll be some RNG involved. There'll be a new currency involved. It'll be time-gated. It'll be limited. They're not monetizing loot. Yeah, I don't think they would monetize loot. So, I mean, obviously, being cheeky about paying silver for more. I'm telling you, I don't think that game would ever do that. I just don't think it would work. You'll be able, I'm telling you, it's going to be an amalgamation of what you do right now when you chase loot and like block certain perks or like try to get certain perks. It's going to be some version of that, and it'll be limited. It killed Diablo 3. Why chase gear when you can buy it for gold? I think sets would be great in New World. You know, you want to know, this is funny. This is actually really funny. Now that I think about this, you just saying that, Paul, gave me an insight into what AGS has been protecting against. Okay, so track with me here. So the New World trade house, right? And then every other week there's another, New World exploit. You dive headfirst into the New World gameplay and the content loop, and you're grinding and you're doing stuff, all right? And you start to sense that reality. You start to sense the reality that cannibalized Diablo 3. I can buy the best stuff. And what does that do? It drives you to gold exploits or gold earn. And it's clear AGS knew this was going to be a potential problem because gold earn rate was pretty choked and still is. They don't want you to be able to regularly have tons of gold. They just don't want you to be able to do that. Why? Well, because of everything we just said. Like, you can just go buy everything that you need. There's going to be those hardcore folks that have made everything, crafted everything, and threw it in the trade house, and you don't know how to do anything. You just need a bunch of gold. So, what happened? You have bots descend on the game that are selling gold. You have New World coin duping everywhere virtually, right? So you see what I'm saying? It's like they knew that was a potential reality. They did. And so their answer was to just, I guess, put a chokehold on gold earn rate. So yeah, you're not going to be able to earn gold that much. And so what did people do? They bucked up against the pain point that was interfering with the reality. The reality being, we want to be able to just buy everything. And when we can't do that, we will find a way to get, we'll find a way to get gold. And that's where every other week there's another New World exploit. Why? Because of what we just said. Like, people literally sensed it. They were like, this is the best way to get loot. This is the best way to get the things that I need. I just need gold. I don't need anything else. And that's been the primary driver of that pain point is, well, this is the best way to get my stuff. I'm not going to go and grind and try to make this stuff on my own. I'll just buy it from the dadgum trade house. It's what people did in Diablo. Now, Diablo 3 had its own, problems because what happened was people could make real actual money in their trade house. And so what people were doing is accounts were getting hacked left and right. Like, I remember I came back after months to check on my Monk and my Blizzard account. It had been hacked. I was like, what the frick? I had to get my account back. It was a pain in the rear. Some guy had basically hacked my account and was probably doing a bot farm or of some sort to try to get a leveled character that they could then turn and sell. That was a thing. It was that was a commonly known problem back then. That's what people would do. They would hack your account and then they would try and sell it. Where's my team dadgum merch? Yeah. You need dadgum merch. I was scheduling the next stream so that people get the 30. All right, hang on a second. I want to see something. Have they updated to redirect yet? If you guys are enjoying the conversation and the show, we will be continuing to cover New World and kind of hold their feet to the fire, about this issue with server mergers and updates, and I've not really wavered this morning in my thoughts and my argumentation. They need to do a significantly better job with their communication. Premieres up. Add 2 cents, please. Okay. Yeah, Creature, just so you know, I got nothing accomplished over the weekend because it took me 3 hours to put up the external lights on my house. And then we went to we went to like a thing with our kids where we walked around and they saw Santa Claus, and so I got nothing done. So I got to get to work this afternoon and evening recording stuff for this week and recording the next episode. I got nothing done. And then yesterday we put the tree up and then we went and hung out with friends. So it was like the holidays just absolutely inhaled my weekend. I literally last night got everything ready for today. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we have a video today of me interacting with Trevor Noah. Had some thoughts on cancel culture, and so we're leaning into just kind of seeing what low level, not like reaction content where like I'm watching somebody's entire video. I think that's not what I want to do. Taking a snippet and reacting to it, or springboarding off of it. So your silence already told me that it's fine. It was just the weekend to do it. The weather was just nice enough for me to put up the lights outside, and then the kids were dying to put up the tree. And it just takes for friggin' ever to do any of that stuff. My back and legs were killing me. 3 hours up and down a ladder putting these lights on the gutters. You only dodge me when you misbehave. I wasn't dodging you. I wasn't. I literally just wasn't. I wasn't working on anything. It wasn't even dodging. Like I was just deep in the throes of Christmas decorating. I was deep in the throes of it, and you know, and we had fun. I'm not complaining. We had fun. You reminded me that I had to put up lights this weekend. Yeah, it's just such a time sink. Like I was putting them up on the gutter, and I was moving at a good clip, and I was like, okay, cool, this shouldn't take too long. And then I blinked, and I was like, it's been 3 hours. I was like, oh my gosh, like I was pretty put out. I was like, oh man, my whole day's over. If we wouldn't have been going to do there was this place with like these gardens you could walk through, and there's like a castle and these old structures. It's really, really cool. And we went and did that, and then there was Santa Claus and like story time with Santa Claus. Like the kids loved it. They loved it. So, so. Sorry. Didn't and won't cover it. Email outlets didn't cover it. Cover my side and won't cover it. Somebody being like, oh, he waited so long, that's why nobody will cover it. No. Nobody will cover it because they don't want to get on the naughty. They don't want to get blacklisted. I finally added you on Xbox. Looking forward to actually playing. That's right. That's right. If the weather where you are is anywhere near Indies, how did you survive the cold? I was dying this weekend. No, it wasn't bad, Abe. No, it was in the 50s. Yeah. It was in the 50s. So we went outside. My daughter was helping me. I mean, it's picturesque, man. It's like right out of a movie. Like my daughter's unraveling the lights. My son's running around and not really helping. And I'm up on a ladder attaching these lights to the gutter, and they keep asking me questions, and then they're fighting, and I'm like, come on, guys, I'm trying to do this thing. Oh, man. I was like right out of a postcard yesterday. I had a black and red flannel on and jeans, and I'm putting the Christmas tree up and going outside and checking the lights, and It was great. We enjoy it. It's just like when you do what I do in content creation, there is no rest. There's no like, oh yeah, I don't have to do anything. It's like, no. Like somebody asked me yesterday, like, do you have to do any work on Sunday or do you get to take the day off? I was like, no, I got to prepare for Monday. Like Monday doesn't happen on its own. You know, I got to make thumbnails. I got to write an outline so that I have a video I can open up the day with. Like it's a lot. And I like it. I enjoy it. All it takes is like the slightest like disruption of that rhythm, and all of a sudden I'm not making any videos, you know, which recording videos is a new concept for me. It's not a new concept. It was something that I did when I first started out. It's just I was mainly a live streamer who I repurposed my content, right? So that's different than what we're doing now. So, and I need you guys to give me more stuff. We have a room in the Discord, and it's called Reaction Suggestions. I need public thinkers and commentators and clips that you think are worthy of interaction with. Like, hey, this person said this about this subject. What do you think? And put it in the reaction suggestion room in Discord. I don't want gaming stuff in there. I'm not covering gaming on my other channel. Let alone be a parent. Once you get home, the real job begins. Oh yeah, like my kids have been, you know, they've been fighting like cats and dogs lately. It's just like it just adds to it. Music reactions? No, that's not music reactions. NFL stuff. I don't want to be super picky, but like sports ball just doesn't fit. It's got to be cultural, entertainment, political. Like obviously I'm going to tread lightly on the politics stuff. Would you ever react to what the quartering has said about current events? It depends. I'm not going to this is what we're trying to do. I am trying to straddle the line between like talking about things that are relevant and happening within the public, okay? And I don't want to like watch a video and react to it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the Trevor Noah clip, it's literally 10 seconds. I'm like he has some good thoughts here. And then I go for 12 minutes riffing on what he said, right? So if you've got a clip of the quartering of Jeremy saying something and you think it's worthy of interaction, I might not react to it. But I'm not about to sit down and do a reaction channel where like, here, let's just watch this 10-minute video from the quartering. You know what I mean? I don't know. Some of the NFL topics could have weight. They stole Sunday from your people. Stole Sunday from my people? What are you talking about? I was kidding. I don't want your opinion on how to beat cover zero blitzes. Hello, Lono. I hope you and the fam are fine. By the way, the coffee is fan-bloody-tastic. Oh, thank you, Hellfire. Thank you. Oh. That's not true. That's not true. But you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to be a reaction channel where, like, I, like, put on some other person's video and I'm, like, watching what they say. Now, if somebody has, like a substantive argument that like is like coming out in pieces, maybe, but I think more of what I do, this is what I do in the live environment. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to emulate the live environment. Somebody in chat will say something harebrained and I will go off for 20 minutes about it, right? And we have like our back and forth. I want to capture that over on SNTR Presents. So if there's a public thinker or a person who says something that you think, this is great or incredibly stupid, that's all I need. Because then I can do a 10 to 15 minute video riffing on what they've said. Even if, like, the quartering as an example, if he says something that you really disagree with, and you're like, yeah, he had this take on this issue, what do you think, Lono? And you find me what you think is a pretty good clip or something, and then I watch it, I might make a video about it. That's what happened with the Trevor Noah thing. Somebody sent me a video, Trevor Noah talking cancel culture. I was like, okay, this is short enough, I'll just watch the whole thing. he said something during the video, and I was like, that's really insightful. Boom. And I made a video about it. I got one, but it's covered in politics and religion. Just put it in there, Eugene, and I'll decide. We're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks. I think we can wade into the political waters without me, like, choosing a side and be like, I'm of this, and then I lose a bunch of support. You know what I'm saying? Like when someone says pop instead of soda. Or that Microsoft makes a superior console. Shut up. So that's the goal with that channel. That's the goal with that channel is like, you can talk politics but stay apolitical. That's what I mean. Like, I think we can talk about some of the stuff that's going on without deep diving into some topic that makes people feel like, well, I can't hang out here anymore. Lono is red or blue or whatever color you want to assign me, right? You can talk about specific ideas, obviously, which isn't picking a political side necessarily. Right. So it doesn't matter. If you find a clip or a video that you think is incredibly stupid or incredibly insightful, I'm open to potentially, interacting with it. I want to ease into like this, okay, we're going to get into like, public Discord discussions and debates because we're considering also doing a show over there. Like, because we end up doing it here a lot of the times. We accidentally wade into those waters, and I spend an hour debating a topic with you guys. I'm like, I would love you to talk parenting theory. Yeah, that could get good. That could get good. Like, if you think there's like a video out there that's just harebrained and stupid about kids or parenting, yeah, I'd be happy to, I don't think you can touch it, but I posted it. Golly. Oh, golly. Oh, golly. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, Eugene. That's one where I could basically be like, I'm not going to give you my position on this issue, but I'm going to talk about why this is a problem within the realm of keeping these two things separate. I could... I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. Like, I could get into a philosophical discussion about why that's so dangerous, like, and there are people that don't think it is, and they should. Without being like, I'm going to give you my opinion about this. A ribeye versus top sirloin. Go. Right. Question, is watching Destiny videos on SNTR Presents hurting the new content? Yeah, probably. We're considering archiving all that stuff, and it would be, I don't know if it would hurt the channel or not. We don't know if it would hurt the channel or not. It's so much content. Like right now, if you go to Social Blade, you can see we did one video just to kind of see what it would do. As long as YouTube doesn't punish us, I don't care. But if you go to Social Blade, we have 13 million views over there. We lost like 105,000 because we archived a video. So if we archived all the Destiny stuff, that 13 million views would probably get, it would plummet. It would plummet. Like, I don't know if we can do it. Like, we don't know what the frick the call is. You know what I mean? Unlisting changes the public count, not YouTube's count. Oh, well then yeah. Do a video about the British royal family always releasing spoilers for The Crown on Netflix. It's an absolute joke. So to an observer, they would say that we've tanked, but YouTube knows what we did. Right. Well, and who cares in 3 months? Because you wouldn't even be able to see it publicly in 2 months. Do you still not make money on those videos? I mean, at this point, it's probably pennies, so... Catch up on hot dogs, delicious or heresy. Maybe archive and do a Patreon? Yeah, I don't know. You can't find the reaction channel on Discord? It's probably a members only room. I suppose we could make that like the gaming newsroom, and you know, but I don't know if that's a good idea, because then we're gonna get we might get a bunch of trash. Yeah, I'm not saying delete them. Yeah, we're just thinking of like archiving them, unlisting them. You like the tree? My kids got me this last year. Everybody has their own tree. They each have one in their rooms, and they made sure to get me one for my office. So last year it was like over on the floor. You couldn't see it because I was still rocking a green screen last year. So, all right. Don't go anywhere because we still have another spicy debate topic coming up with Halo closing their Reddit days before their official release. So we'll be talking about that in a moment. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. the kids got St. Nicholas Day stuff. And so they get so excited they forgot they already showed it to me. They're like, "Did we show you the stuff we got?" It's like my daughter got a Polly Pocket, and my son got like a Minecraft Lego set. They were very excited. Did you get a chance to watch any this weekend? I posted one I think you'll like from Bill Burr on the Pat McAfee show. I have not gotten a chance to watch that one yet, no. I got a chance to watch whoever put the Trevor Noah one. I got a chance to watch that. So the challenge with what we're trying to do is when somebody posts something that's pretty lengthy and long. You were listening to updates this morning. Nice. Would love to see you react to this. Let me mute Chrome before I click on it. It's a YouTube video. Hang on. I watched a video this morning. Who's this from? From Josh and Bo. From Josh and Bo. I was watching another. It was a video about like the psychology behind like interviewing people and interrogating them and assumed innocent, you know, innocent until proven guilty, and why that's so important. And like it was a really good psychological breakdown of like body language and posture. I've watched it before. It's him talking about cancel culture. Okay. Yeah, I've watched the most recent Wheel of Time. I actually like not being able to binge it. I said I think it brings back like the bygone era of there being sort of mystery and intrigue and excitement and like looking forward to a show. I think binging would ruin a show like Wheel of Time because you're engaging with only like one level of your own psychology. You're basically just consuming the game, the content, just wolfing it down, and I think that there's other parts of you that interact with entertainment, and it's really, really good. I think it's really, really good to allow a show like that to do that, to maintain that mystery and that intrigue. So they did do something with two characters that I was like, I'm pretty sure this didn't happen in the book, but they're trying to establish certain things, and it's easier to do it in a very visual way instead of like trying to do it in like a more subtle way. I think it's hard to have subtlety for like, you know, internal stuff or things like that. I think it's really, really hard to do that and to do it well. I do. I think it's tough because the dilemma is that if you don't take the time to like really pay attention, you'll miss nuances with characters. So they don't want to have that. They don't want to have like you in the dark about stuff. Does that make sense? Like they have to beat you over the head with certain elements of the show. Also confirmed that Daredevil will be added to the MCU. So they got D'Onofrio for Kingpin. that was going to be a big loss to not keep that. I just, now they got to figure out what to do with Frank Castle and the Punisher, you know? They got to figure out. They got to figure out what to do, you know? Hang on. What? Yeah, we're just going to take that out. You just killed Discord with that. All right. This channel is great. Well, a channel suggestion's great, but I need like, you got to give me some direction. I can't just go and I mean, I guess I could go look and see if there was any topics. If this Spider-Man doesn't get to fight that Kingpin during this run, it's a massive failure. Oh, yeah. Bernthal says he's down for being the MCU Punisher. Okay. Do. Let's make sure. Okay. Why is Halo 3 trending? We can go to a more generic scene now. Hawkeye's the first mainline Marvel thing I haven't watched. I've heard good things. But you know, more than likely, Eugene, you know where you would land on it. You'd be like, this isn't needed. I would imagine. I've not seen it, but I would imagine you would just have that similar conclusion you've already come to on some of the other Marvel stuff. You're like, yeah, we don't need to hear about this. You know. But I've heard it's good. I've heard it's very, very good. I like Haley Steinfeld, so I'm a little bit of a, you know. I thought Black Widow was good, but I thought it was so ill-timed. It was really unfair to ScarJo. I thought it was really unfair to ScarJo because it was a good movie. I thought it was totally fine. And then I was just like, man, this would have landed so much better back when it was supposed to, you know? Did this not put this in the playlist? Might have failed to put this in the gaming play in the SNTR Gaming News playlist. Oh, yep, I forgot to. There we go. Yeah, she's been a star since True Grit. No, yeah, I agree with you. I've liked her since True Grit. I thought she was phenomenal in that, right? Like, she's really marketable. She just is. She's really nice. She's sweet. She's adorable. She's multi-talented. She can sing. She can dance. She can hold her own with big name actors. You know, she's literally has everything you would want in somebody that you want to cast in versatile roles and stuff. Like, she really has done a great job with her career, you know. Oh, she kind of turns into, you know, like an Anna Kendrick though, and she kind of like stays in a good lane, kind of a more, you know, maybe a little bit more of a wholesome lane. Like, don't let them, you know, don't let them corrupt you, Haley. You know, would be my charge to her. She can obviously do whatever she wants with her career, but like, I don't know. Like, I think as a dad, I'm like, if that was my daughter, you know what I'm saying? Because like, she's obviously been in the limelight, even since True Grit. You know what I'm saying? Since True Grit, it's like, you know, protect this young lady, kind of a thing, you know. Let's get this trailer up here. Okay. Had to get like a little Halo video ready so we can do our Halo segment. I'm going to break down this topic into what happened, the store, the battle pass, the lack of Slayer, lack of vision. Toxicity isn't feedback. Attacking is never warranted. Stop minimizing just because you're angry. But don't play a shell game 343. I'm gonna try and ride the middle on this one. It's back up. They already opened it back up. Okay. Well, that may make us extremely relevant or extremely irrelevant. We may either be really relevant in the next 2 hours covering this or not at all, you know? They said when they shut it down, it was only until today. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought it was like until we clean this up or kind of a thing. You know what I mean? I wonder if it'll actually achieve anything then. I wonder if it'll achieve anything. You know? I usually don't tweet about the second show, but I think I'm going to. All right, I'm going to push the announcement in the Discord. We've not been doing this for the middle show, but I'm going to. We'll hit there. Okay, let's end the poll here. I'm going to give you guys the link of where we're heading. And the live redirect should work. It's been much better, but we obviously acknowledge that that's an issue sometimes. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. In this episode of SNTR Gaming, we're going to be talking about the Halo Infinite Reddit shutdown. They shut down the subreddit for Halo for 24 hours, right on sort of the eve of the game launching. And I want to talk about this in a very short segment right here at the beginning of the stream that really covers sort of what happened, who's to blame, are they being soft, and all of that. If that's what you were looking for, it's right here on the front of the show. It's also a live stream, so if you want to watch the entire broadcast, it's about 3 hours. This is an SNTR update. Halo had to shut down their Reddit just a few days before Halo Infinite officially launched on December the 8th. A 24-hour sort of, I guess, pause button on the Reddit caused many to ask what exactly is going on, and I'm going to do my best to break this down for you. If you like these SNTR updates, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you